got six. We got six. Yeah, we got six people here. Yeah, we got six people here. The Chelada boys are two. The Chelada boys are two.
I guess that don't count.
That's all right. What's up, everybody? It's been a little over a week since we was last here. Episode. This is technically the 8th episode. Is that right? Or seventh, something like that. Yeah, first panel special. Excited. First panel special. Excited. Oh man, you know I didn't read shit. Oh man, you know I didn't read shit.
Hey. The Chelada boy.
What exactly is a chelada? Can't see it.
Lee Mercer just said he couldn't hear you.
No, that's true. My mic's been muted on OBS, so he hasn't heard a single word I've
Your
said.
mic's been muted this whole time.
Yep, he didn't hear a single word I said the entire time.
It was
Okay,
cool.
so let's let's do this again.
Yikes.
Boom. Guess what? We got some people here, and they're great people. I've already given one intro, so I can't really do it again. But
Oh Lord.
they've got a podcast. Their name's there. You can see who it is. It's the Chelada Boys. Y'all are gonna dent them cans in, smashing them in together so much, but
Let's do it again. Do it again.
all right. The next get I would let Alex do these, but to be frank, I kind of don't remember who was next. It's a mess. The next panel one will be not this messy, but I think it was. Okay, I had to flash it so I could see it. All right. Next up is one of my friends. He lives in Louisville. We've had tons of like random discussions, like at nighttime, that have made me think about my life. So he's here to join in all of the craziness. It's your boy Tanner. Tanner, thanks for joining, my
Welcome,
friend.
Tanner.
I
Welcome.
only speak Spanish. So.
Okay, we're fucked. You might get along with the Chelada Boys, but I can't. Me no habla.
¿Qué pasa?
Me no habla. All right, and last but not least,
Hobla.
with this guy, I didn't really get like much. I tried to kind of ask everybody some accolades so I could kind of give them like an intro whenever we do this. But this guy didn't really give me much, but I know what I can talk about. He like I've got him on Facebook. He's the husband of one of my friends I like grew up with, and I see a lot that goes on. Like I see all the stuff you do. Like he travels all over the U.S. and I'm sure probably other countries too that he could probably tell us about. He's always going somewhere in like a fucking RV
Culture.
or some shit, like with no power. It's crazy. He does crazy stuff, and he also is in like a super crazy metal. I don't know, just in like this whole, like it's like a whole facade, like a whole scene. He's in this metal scene, and it's fucking crazy. They like get really sweaty and headbang and like punch each other in the face. And I wish I just want to do it someday and get drunk with you. It's Austin.
Don't ever wish that you put yourself in that scene. It's terrible.
Oh yeah, it looks like a
Somehow
lot.
I can't get out of it. Yeah.
It looks like a lot
no,
of fun,
it's-
man.
Actually, the older I get, the more those kids stress me out. Because watching them just fling their arms.
Yeah.
I'm an old man now at this point. I'm just like, you all, no idea. You all could just like dislocate that arm and
Yeah.
it's stressful.
Or like smash this dude's jaw.
Thank you. Oh yeah, I've broken arms. I've seen it. It's terrible.
Oh my god. All right. Well, Alex, if you got anything you want to say to them, go ahead, because I introduced them, so you can. Alex looks like he's either frozen, or
I think he's frozen.
just
I
like.
think he's frozen.
Yeah,
I
he
think
ain't
so,
moved in a
too.
while.
All
Yeah,
right.
he hasn't moved in a while.
Alex, breathe. Breathe.
Breathe, Alex. We gotta save him. We just gotta yell as loud as we possibly can. All right. So, guys, I didn't have like set topics. I just figured we'd get on here and just talk about random shit. It's kind of hard to like just start that out, and it's also kind of awkward. Oh my god! Not
I don't know what the
hey.
heck is
Not
happening.
only are you back, but when you came back, you did like a flourish. I really enjoyed that.
There he is.
Did he freeze again?
I don't see him on ours.
I know his eyes are moving.
I see him over here.
I see him now. Does everybody else see him? We good?
I don't see him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
He's
I
on
got
the
it.
other screen.
All right. So me and Alex kind of, and I think I showed, or I put it in the Discord at least. But me and Alex kind of had this little list of stuff that we wanted to talk about. Is there anything you all want to like, that you all figured you'd bring to the table as like something interesting or anything like that?
I'm here for the ride, man.
Yeah, I'm
Oh, you're-
ready for the ride. Yeah.
But, and I
Yeah.
gotta add your all's logo down there. There you go.
It's,
If you would, please.
We got the Chilada Boys logo down on their name down there, so you can recognize it and start recognizing when you check their podcast out. Okay, I have tons of stuff. Now it's just because I sat around and was able to sit and think about what we could talk about. But nobody has anything. Nobody has anything. Just like, dude, I heard about this the other day.
Hang on, what do you?
I've got one. That's not
Did I
Think about
come to
Trump.
your show with topics? Is that what you're asking? Did I come to your show with topics to talk about?
Okay.
Is that what you're-
All right.
Hey, here's one fairly new. Okay,
What?
Trump. I'm gonna ban TikTok.
Dude, yes. Isn't this crazy? I heard about this like last night, I think. So what do you all think about
I'm
that?
banned
is
TikTok.
What's
Microsoft
the
not?
reason behind it?
Okay.
Yeah, why?
What's the reason?
Okay.
From what?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
All right, I read an article yesterday, and it's basically everyone knows TikTok is Chinese-owned company. Okay, so anytime you're dealing with anything Chinese-owned, you're pretty much dealing with CCP. And Microsoft is planning on. Well, it's rumored Microsoft is going to be purchasing TikTok, and because so there's like all this worry about Chinese spying or really data cropping, right? When China data mines Americans, what it does is it pulls dollars out of American economy. People pay big money for like ad data,
Yeah.
consumer reports and stuff like that.
Stuff we.
And as a matter of fact, I was like, what the hell? But actually, it's not too uncommon because already on all military bases, like Huawei phones, you used to see them back when smartphones were just starting to come in America. This company named Huawei, like in China, they're all the rage. Like they make the best phones, but they're illegal on military installations. Any Chinese-made modem or router or a lot of Chinese-made or company-owned technology products are not allowed on military installations. So it's really not so out of the world, but to ban an entire app, I don't see it going down. But that's my 2 cents on it.
Now I don't know.
How can you do that there?
I don't know exactly.
How do you-
I want to give some precursor to this. One, this happened with Grindr as well. The dating app for gays. They did it with that. I think something happened, as in somebody had to reallocate the company just because it was going to be outlawed in a certain country. So that's how they like jumped around that. So I think that's what they're thinking they're going to see with Microsoft or something like that. And also, Huawei phones actually got kind of the same thing done with them. Like, I know in America now, I don't think something happened in America where they're not either allowed to be sold here now. I think the firmware over in America is not supported anymore, so like they don't get updates anymore. And that's all I wanted to add. Austin, how can they do that? I have no clue. I don't.
That's what I'm saying. How can he have the power to straight up just say, I'm going to shut this company down? That's like if he came in and said that I'm going to shut all Walmarts down or all Facebook. I'm going to, how can you, someone like him, just come in there and just make that decision and say that's how it's going to be?
You think it's a matter of national security? Because that's like the first thing I think of, but I don't know. I feel like we would need to know what the threat is.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the sense of what Alex said, maybe in that sense, but at the same time, I mean, it's just a little app that you make minute-long videos of you dancing in your wife's clothes or whatever. Like, I don't think,
Right.
I don't know.
I think a lot of the content is like
What TikToks
it
do
has
you
a
watch?
bad effect on kids too.
His
Though.
new,
I don't.
anyway.
I feel you, Austin.
I don't think
I'm
a
sorry,
lot of-
Dylan. What'd you say?
Well, I mean, I've been on TikTok and they've got these challenges and shit, and there's a lot of kids on TikTok too. Like if you go on there and you're just swiping through the videos, you'll come up on like a 12-year-old shaking her ass and shit, and you don't know what you're coming up on. It's just in the fucking For You page.
Be able to.
But they've got challenges where these kids, they'll like open up a pop can and they'll put the tab down in it and try to chug it. One, the kid can choke on that. Or they've got where you take like an empty toilet paper roll and you try to drink a whole glass of juice like that. You're going to choke on that too. I think there's a lot of dangerous things that become fads
What the
that a lot of like young kids that their parents aren't really, people don't really pay attention to what the fuck their kids are doing.
No.
So if they see this shit, whenever they're letting a phone raise their kid, they'll look at it and they'll start these challenges. And maybe they're in their room trying to do this bullshit. And then the next thing you know, you come into your room and your kid has killed himself trying to do some kind of fucking TikTok or something.
Right.
And I think the reason they're wanting to ban it isn't so much the content, but more of what the app does in the background.
Right.
It's already banned. I know India banned it a few months ago, but they have issues with other things. But a lot of information is gathered in the background when you're not using the app. It asks a lot of weird stuff. Asks for like location data all the time.
I
Sends
read.
all contact information, all websites that you visit,
Mhm.
all kinds of stuff not related to TikTok. All that information gets sent back to the servers, which are in China, and the Chinese government has complete access to all of that
Right.
information.
So what I'm hearing basically is China is constantly trying to get in our booty and just like fuck our shit,
Sounds like it.
fuck our shit up.
I
So
read.
I'm for the band. I don't even use TikTok.
I read yesterday that a lot of Redditors have, made Reddit posts about it and been like, well, this is what I've found that they do. That TikTok will do with your data and like how they copy it. Last night I read somebody said, summarizing, they were like, they'll copy your entire hard drive to their servers before you delete the app or something like that. Like there was some sort of like programming involved where when you delete the app, it just like copies certain things or something, and that's wild. That's weird.
Good move, Donald. Good move.
Now I think that's
It's ban that
odd.
shit.
And Austin, like where you're coming from, I would think, like what precedent does this set? But I think the precedent's already been set. So I don't know if going further this could be a bad thing. If the reason he's doing it is true, really, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Well, I wonder. Maybe we all know Donald doesn't use the best wordage, the best verbiage. If he's talking about just banning it on military installations or limiting what government officials can have it on their phones or what it can be on, that makes sense. We're already doing stuff like that. We do stuff like that all the time. But I think he's going to be hard pressed to take a social media outlet and make an executive order that I don't think we're going to see Americans, y'all better no more TikTok in America. I don't think that's even
Apparently,
in the realm of possibility.
by the end of today, he's supposed to ban it. Like that's what people are saying.
We've already banned the reason like the Huawei phones, when Tyler was talking about the like firmware,
Yeah, I didn't really know.
it runs an Android-based phone.
Right.
So he didn't really ban Huawei phones in America. He just told Google you can't
support.
Yeah, that China does no longer gets updated Android versions.
Right.
So they're just running on old versions of Android.
That's weird
So-
too.
So there is kind of a precedent of limiting what like internet software they're letting in and out of the country. So whether or not you agree with it, there is some precedent for it.
Right.
It's just basically a tariff of sorts, except with money they're just saying you can't send it.
I wonder what the like agreement would be in order to be able to have TikTok here from China or whatever. I saw that TikTok recently appointed a new CEO from Disney, like an ex-Disney CEO. They appointed a CEO to own TikTok, and then under their like their proprietary like name is like ByteSense or some weird company name or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
I know a
yeah,
lot.
the way
I know a lot of people that like network through that and like have gotten their like they get their income now through that. Like I know a few people that are like that anyways. And they lose that, whenever that happens. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know about it. It's kind of odd. I think it's a bit of a funky thing. I mean, but if somebody's data mining, I don't really see a problem with like, putting that in check, because we can't really have something like that. That's a little whack.
Well, and we've touched on that before, that really the only war possible for America versus China is it's always going to be an economic one, because any full-scale armed war is just going to be mutually assured destruction. So the only war we have available to us is an economical war, and that's all we're going to see is continued stuff like that. Data mining is going to be the number one thing to try to watch out for, I think, when it comes to our war with China.
Right.
They're smart.
It's a pretty new thing, so I don't know. I guess we'll hear about it more later.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was going on.
I feel like you guys are way more educated on this shit than I am.
No, well,
I'm
I mean,
like fucking absorbing what you guys are talking about.
It's just from last night. I don't know.
Yeah.
I was looking around last night before I went to bed. Or I think somebody
Are we gonna start like talking quantum physics and stuff too next? 'Cause I'm really not prepared, bro. I'm gonna struggle with this topic kind of stuff.
Well, and that's okay.
Talking about data and shit and coding and shit.
It's not, but look, you all are
I'm
saying
a
it like
simple American.
you all are saying it though like you're stupid. Y'all just didn't know. I mean, I know y'all just didn't know it. Why do you always do that?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I knew that they were like talking about banning world. The Don was talking about banning it and stuff, and I didn't really look into it as much as I should have.
I just
But-
thought a little last night.
What from my perspective of why they were banning it is because of just based off my personal experience of what I've seen on it and the dumb shit that goes on with it, and like the like the kids on there dancing like adults and shit, and
Yeah.
I mean that's all over it. It's
Yeah, it's pretty
disgusting. And I'll be real with you. I let my son have it for a little while, and then like I got a little more into it, and I found out what exactly kind of content was going on it, and I was like, delete that shit now.
And,
Yeah.
and
Get
that's
it
what
off
we
your
need.
phone.
That's what we need. I don't think we should ever have legislation on, oh, you can't show your kids TikTok, but definitely we need more. I use this word loosely, conservative parenting. We need parents parenting like that. That's what we
That's
need.
the slippery part about it, man. Like, it should be like that, but there's a mass of parents that really don't give a shit. Those parents think if you can give your son this phone and he'll get out of your hair for 4 or 5
So be
hours,
quiet for.
boom, here you go, son. Here's
guess
TikTok
what?
and the phone.
Shit,
Leave
I
me
get it.
alone.
I get it.
Hey, you give a prepubescent boy the internet for 15 minutes and some alone time, and he's on some porn.
Yeah.
No,
Rule
no.
34, bro.
Kid's got titties in his pocket. Yeah, he's
I
got
found that shit on the TV. I didn't even have a smartphone when I was that
Right,
age,
dude.
dude.
Cinemax.
I'm
The
really
real
scared.
staticky channel.
Yeah,
Yeah. Knew it was a titty when I seen it.
right. I
Went
thought
out to
that was a titty.
Girls Gone Wild video real quick. One of them
Big
Girls Gone
stubby.
Wild commercials. Thank you.
Whoa, what a turn this took.
Girls going wild titties.
Always censored.
That turns me on like a girl with her bare chest with a 1995 sign over top of her nipple.
Or like a old Jerry Springer film.
Oh, yeah.
VHS.
The uncut Jerry Springers.
Uncut.
For me, it was trying to find what was that guy, Rod, whatever his name, the guy from Howard Stern. It was Howard Stern show. That was my go-to when I was a kid.
Okay.
Rod.
Okay.
Rod who? Rod Stewart?
Yeah, Rod
I was
Stewart.
like, what?
Oh yeah, I remember whenever Howard Stern made that movie, and that might have been like the first time I seen titties on a movie. It was immediately my favorite movie.
Can't remember the first time. Titties on there. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Those are some gnarly
It
titties
was
you
pretty
seen,
rough.
bro.
Yeah, it was.
Whoa.
That was a rude awakening.
Hi, this is my friend Phi. She's a necrophiliac.
You never know what you're in, and that's the thing. That's why it comes down to parenting, because anything can take a turn. I mean, you never know what you're going to see on television. You never know what you see online. It comes down to strict parenting, whether it's white.
You gotta monitor what your kids are.
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, it's tough today. It was a big thing that hit my brain whenever Xander, before my son was born, was like, what kind of media is he going to ingest? What are we going to allow? Every time a song
It's
comes
even
on,
harder now,
and I'm like,
because you got YouTube, you've got these other kids shows that you think are kids shows, like the whole ordeal with the Roblox games. They had like little rooms set up where the Roblox characters are having sex and shit.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Look it up.
That stuff makes me laugh because it's not like it's funny because that's sick and gross and weird. But
you're laughing.
That shit is funny. I'm sorry. The little Roblox characters like oof oof. That's where I get the oof thing from. They run on when they die, they go oof, and all their parts fly off.
Yeah. Your son's just running around like Spider-Man. He walks into a room and there's just gangbangs in every corner of the fucking room. Daddy, what are they doing?
why are they doing push-ups on top of each
they're
other?
wrestling.
That doesn't make sense.
They are wrestling. You just gotta tell them they're wrestling, man. Be all right.
Let me ask you guys this though, because most of you guys are parents, right?
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So where do you draw the line as raising a child to kind of not have them completely sheltered? You know what I mean? Like where they haven't seen anything at all. Because like for me, like my parents, they didn't really shelter me at all. I saw, movies with naked women or whatever. Like my dad was a biker, so he had on his garage, centerfolds of girls on bikes and some of their boobs out and everything. So that wasn't really anything crazy for me. So where do you all draw the line where you need to kind of protect them from that type of stuff, but also kind of show them, I guess, that this is the reality of life?
Okay.
Wow.
For me, it's not necessarily that you're going to draw a line and be like, this is where I cut it off. It's going to be just being honest with your child and letting them know straight up, like, hey, these are things that could happen. These are things that could potentially you run into, and just letting them know and then make their mind up about it. Like, you're not going to be able to keep a kid sheltered from everything because they're going to go to school. There's going to be some other little badass kid that has never, their parents didn't give a shit, and they're just going to spew everything onto your child, and your child's going to come home and be like, what's a vagina? And you're in trouble at that point if you haven't talked to them.
You're gonna run up on a kid whose dad has naked pictures in his garage and stuff, and he's like showing him titty pics.
So
I think it's like age appropriation stuff. I think you you scale them up a little bit.
You
at
monitor
a time.
what they watch when they're younger and
About
stuff
what
like
you
that. But
reveal
when it's time for school and stuff like that, there are certain conversations that you're going to have and be prepared to have. It's not necessarily that you're going to be able to keep them sheltered, because you're not going to. It'll never happen.
That's a good point. I think, to me, a lot of it has to do with what am I capable of having a discussion with him about? Like some songs, like I'm not going to let him listen to because not until he can grasp that, hey, that's a persona. You know what I mean? They're not really out here smacking women around and doing all this. It's a persona. You know what I mean? So I'll probably not go to listen to a lot of songs until you can understand. You know what I mean?
So no Eminem.
Right. No Slim Shady.
Not his early work, at least.
No D12.
I haven't personally, honestly, really thought about that much. What I do know though is that like, whenever it gets closer to that time, like to where that'll be a thing, like boobies and stuff. I feel like there'll be.
This is the anatomy of a vagina. Son.
These are the you get a drawing board and you blow it up 4x3 feet and you just smack a
Actual size.
yeah.
Well, and when they're super young, like mine and Cody's, what you always hear people say is, "Oh, well, they're not going to remember. They don't understand." And what my mind goes to is like, "Well, what kind of like early age programming is that doing in their brain?" Like, I try to
Right,
really
they're
watch
like
that kind of stuff.
Their brain is like a sponge right now.
Yeah.
They're like just taking everything in. So you got to really monitor what they do see. You know, like me and my girl, we like to watch horror movies and stuff like that. But I'd like to watch that after my child goes to sleep. So I don't want her, even though she's 9 months old, I don't want her to see that kind of stuff. And, you know, I don't know how it'll affect her. So I can't remember what it was like being 9 months old, and I can't imagine it's great. But
that might interfere with your parenting too, because you might be like, well, she watched it when she was 9 months old. Okay, well, she's just a year and a month old now. So if she sees it now, maybe it's not a problem. And then you like escalate it to 2 years old, and you're like, well, she's been seeing this her whole life. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Right.
you got to be careful, especially while they're young too. So
I
it's
think-
it's just
That was a good question.
I think a lot of things are really good. Like
That's a damn good question.
that are decent in moderation too. And man, like if you see warning signs of things like of where your child is starting to be like sexualized, I feel like you can jump in front of it and at least like help them be prepared
Right.
for it.
you know that's coming. You know that's going to happen. So
Right.
it's you just got to be on the ball about it. You can't be a shitbag parent and
Yes.
just let it happen
It's
to
something
them.
you
So.
kind of can't like you got to kind of try to get as right as you can. That's one thing you can't like miss.
Well, in today's society, I think the biggest worry is not listening to other people, especially people who don't even have children, telling you what you should be showing your kids or should be teaching your kids early on.
Yeah.
I think,
Exactly.
the less outside influences have on your parenting, for the most part, the better.
It's like
Just listen to your heart.
It's
you
like
know what I mean?
direct outside influences that like.
Well, today's society,
that may be
like-
playing devil's advocate just because of like a personal reason or something. It's not.
When you think all the societal things that are going on right now, like, it scares me. It scares me.
Okay, I'm about to have a daughter. I'm like freaking the fuck out, dude. I'm
Welcome to
not-
the club, buddy.
Yeah, man, I'm not.
Welcome to the
Well, yeah,
club.
like, how do you guys do? Here's my other question, because like, I don't have children. I don't really plan on either having children for a while.
Good for
Neither
you.
did I.
How do you all like, with everything that's going on now in the country with like police brutality and racism and stuff? How do you all address that to your children? I know growing up, we were always told to trust policemen, and we have to, if anything ever happens to you, to call the police. But now, I'm sure kids they're hip at least, to the fact that this is going on. So what do you tell your kids now?
See, my son has got a pretty diverse family. He's got cousins who are mixed with African American, cousins mixed with Mexican. So he doesn't really see color as being a problem to him. He just sees it as his family. And I think the biggest thing is to keep that mindset for him as he grows up, to not see a difference in someone's color or make that deciding factor in how he treats someone. Now, as far as police go, he knows he doesn't see them as a threat. He knows that if something, he feels that if something's amiss or something like tragic is going on, he can call the police or some kind of first responder for assistance. I think that's something that you just need to hit it. You hit it early. You nip it in the bud. You make that the norm. Like, the color doesn't make a difference. Somebody's a person based on their actions, not their colors. And you let that just continue to be their mindset throughout their life, and you make sure that mindset stays the norm to them.
Exactly. I consider myself look for similarities and not differences, and take things case by case. The one thing I try to watch out for in myself, and when Xander gets to that age, is going to be putting blankets over anything. So, like, I'm not going to say all cops are good. I'm going to say the role of a cop is supposed to be good. This is what it's supposed to be.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think the longer it takes for me to impose what my views on what society are or should be, the better. Let him come to a lot of his own understanding and just try to be a good force in his life and think for himself, kind of, for the most part. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want him growing up worrying about racism and worried about bad cops and systemic racism and all that. Like, I don't want that to be a thought in his head when he's young. You know what I mean? Growing up with a sound worldview. I want him
Exactly.
to see the world for what it is and make his own decisions. That's what I'd like to see.
I agree with that completely. My daughter's still pretty young.
I'm trying to jump in my community. Like I think I'm not saying that I think that's where it starts, but I think that is a big help. Like I feel like if people around me see that I'm holding other people accountable, then they'll do the same thing. And I've preached it for fucking every podcast episode that we've ever had. I've said accountability, and I just think that right there. I know that it's just one little thing that makes it's one little chapter in the whole book of how to not be a piece of shit, but like it's so vital. So that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know. I'm just gonna hold people accountable and kind of do what Alex said. Like I guess just guide and I guess like let things happen. Like let him come to his own conclusions on things based on just how people treat him, which may or may not be good. I don't know.
Same way with my daughter. When she gets old enough to understand this kind of stuff, it's just going to be you can't judge somebody off their skin pigmentation. You know what I'm saying? That has nothing to do with anything. It doesn't make you smarter, less smarter, more of an asshole, less of an asshole. You're just you're a person. You bleed red just like everybody else, and judge off the content of their character. So, I agree. It's tough.
Yeah. It's a rough one. It's really rough.
It is.
It's probably the hardest thing
The way
I've
you
ever had to think about. Figure out how I'm gonna maneuver. I don't know.
You'll never be done thinking about it. There's always
Yeah.
something that you'll think, could I have done this better? Or could I,
Right.
brought this sample up a little bit easier for them to understand? Or so you're your biggest critic.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I think
Shout
that's
out
the
to
hallmark
Austin
of
for
any
the
good
tough
parent.
questions,
Yeah,
buddy.
Constantly
Austin,
Those are
worrying
some
that I'm not a good
fingers,
parent.
bro.
Yeah. Austin.
Yeah, Austin, dude, you're hitting us with some crazy questions.
Now,
right
Austin,
bro.
listen.
I appreciate it.
I gotta ask you, what the fuck just happened? Somebody just disappeared.
Alex disappeared.
Yeah,
No.
Alex is gone.
Alex disappeared, and he's made the
Batman died.
the thing all crazy. Hold on. Oh yeah, it's
There we go.
bad messed up.
Oh, bad messed up, huh?
Is he
Alex.
coming
Hey,
I'm gonna take this time to grab another beer.
look at us.
back? Yeah, we're all jacked, dude.
jacked.
I don't know where Alex could have went.
I'm in my bag. What the heck?
Hey, turn your camera on, Alex.
What,
yeah,
what
yeah, get it.
incarnation is going on?
There we go. We're back. We're good.
Oh my God, I pay for Nitro. I shouldn't be going with this.
So okay, all right, Austin, you have good questions. Do you think you're going to do a podcast thing? You said you mentioned something. I just want to genuinely ask you about it.
With the picture stuff, with the like profiles of people.
I'll sure. I was saying anything, but I really like that. I think that's really cool.
Oh, I mean, I'm not opposed to it.
Right.
I would like to. It's just kind of thinking of a topic, or a topic just to cover. I've had a couple ideas, in my head about doing it. I mean, yeah, I would definitely like to. It's just trying to figure it out.
Right.
But with those profiles, I mean, yeah, that kind of goes in the same realm, really. I mean, yeah, I guess so. I would like to do a podcast.
I feel like it would kind of be
Sometimes soon, probably.
hard to get like those stories just randomly from people. They're kind of like people
Yeah,
right now, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the last one I put up online, I knew of him but didn't really know him,
Yeah.
and he just hit me up to get those pictures taken, and we just kind of hit it off. But yeah, I mean, now I don't really know as many people.
Well, to
So
give them
it's-
some context, 'cause I don't think they may not know what I'm talking about. Austin has. Austin's probably like, dude, I just took some fucking pictures and wrote some shit, but I think it's really cool. Austin went to this guy. The first one was your dad, right? Or am I wrong? Okay.
Yeah.
So with his dad, and then how many have you done so far? Just 2 now, or more?
I've done 3 total, but 2 were people that I kind of knew.
Right. So he'd go, and it's kind of like biker centric, but he'd go and take some badass pictures of in their garage and their bike and stuff, and then have like a really genuinely interesting story to go with it. It's kind of just badass. It's really like Humans of New York-esque. Like it's like a, you know, you just take pictures and then you try to apply as much like emotional meaning to that picture. It feels like, I don't know, it's really interesting. I like to see more of it. I think it's cool as fuck.
Basically, what it's going to be, like him doing it, is going to be Humans of New York mixed with, I guess, like subculture, like people who live in like a subculture, whether it's the underground music scene or biker culture or car culture or just whatever people that I find interesting that I either know have crazy stories or that I talk to and realize they have crazy stories. Like, I'm going to try and do one this week coming up of a guy that I know who lives close to Somerset, I think. He's just a crazy old biker guy that like makes model cars and does mushrooms.
Hey, his name ain't Spider, is it?
It's not Spider, but he's got a son that lives, I think, in Somerset and stuff. So
I know a biker down here named Spider, and he's told me some fucked up stories that I really genuinely don't think I can say on like the internet. I don't think I can say it out loud. It's some rough.
Can't trust a guy named Spider.
Yeah.
Can't trust a guy named
That's just
Spider.
a man following behind it.
He is.
It's not Spider-Man. Don't listen, bro.
Yeah,
He's big
yeah.
sketchy.
He wasn't. His
I don't
other
know.
name is Peter Parker. You cannot trust Spider-Man.
He freaked me out, man. He was kind of scary. I don't know.
does he have like a spider like on his head, tattooed on his head?
No, he usually wears. I don't know if he has any tattoos of it. Actually, I never really
Had
asked.
the cobweb on the elbow.
But yeah, he does have he does. I think he has a cobweb on his elbow, but he's got he's got this vest that he wears. It's got a big spider on the back of it. He says that's what everybody calls him. It's probably just what he calls himself.
We had a guy at work that used to call
Call me
himself
Mike Honcho.
Wolfman.
Wolfman.
Wolfman. He's like, everyone calls me Wolfman, but no one actually called him Wolfman except himself. He had a license plate on the front of his truck that said Wolfman, and he ran with that shit.
Should have been like, "What's up, puppy boy?" Good to see you.
They call me Wolfman.
Puppy boy.
Boy.
Listen, I kind of want to throw something. Does anybody have like a follow up or anything like that? Because if not, I want to throw something in here, just like a random
Throw
thing.
it.
Throw
Okay,
it. We're here for the ride, bro.
I had like random topics here. Jesus Christ. I had random topics here, but at the bottom of it, I just had fun stuff, and one of the things in that is animal fights. And Dylan said he would be super excited for it. But what do you guys?
Yeah, me too.
Listen though. What do you guys think between?
I think
And I'm going to tell you one that I've never thought about, and I started thinking about it, and I was laughing my ass off. Okay?
All right.
Who do you think would win between a kangaroo and a horse?
Kangaroo. Kangaroo.
I don't know.
That's a hot take.
I don't know.
Kangaroos have super long claws at the end of their feet, and they can bounce back on their tails. It'd be hard for the kangaroo to chase down a horse. I'm gonna say that right now. It'd be hard.
Yeah, but if he's squaring up with him, and the horse just whips around and kicks some legs back and just clicks
I
his
still
teeth
think
real
that
quick.
tail. I think that tail's
Dude.
gonna take the brunt of that, and he's gonna come back with his own little.
Listen,
Yeah.
okay,
He'll
okay,
he'll
yeah, that could
scoot-
happen.
Scoot
But
back in the
horse
dirt.
could turn around,
Yeah.
kick
he's
him in
just
his
gonna
jaw, and then
absorb
like
it and
trample
just-
him with his front paw or his front feet, and then he's fucking dead.
Man, you can't convince me.
Kangaroo
horse-
Jack has not got a chance
You
against
can't
fucking
con-
Seabiscuit,
you
dude. Get the
cannot
fuck
convince
out of
Hey,
here.
me
listen,
that a
listen,
horse is
listen,
gonna win.
listen. I think one square kick to the chest of a kangaroo, it's over with.
Right,
Really?
right.
I mean, the guy did go out and punch a kangaroo in Australia right in
Yeah,
the face,
and the kangaroo
didn't
gave
do
up
shit.
immediately.
That's true.
Yeah,
He was done.
What-
that's a fact.
Think
So-
about it. Think about it though. Think about how big a horse is. Okay, and kangaroo. I mean, I don't know how big their
Human-
paws are, but they're
human
not
size.
that big, right?
They can get pretty big, man.
Yeah,
They'll
they're
stand
probably-
taller than you
Probably
will.
like 7 or 8 feet. I
Yeah,
guess.
like,
a
but I'm
big
saying,
motherfucker.
I'm saying
I
like
don't know.
their actual paws, like their actual hands. If they punch a horse, any way that they punch a horse, a horse is a pretty stout animal.
You could
Right.
smash a horse in the face, and it's not gonna fuck with it at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You'd be like, bam.
I just don't think a
I'm gonna have
horse
to
is as
say-
violent as a kangaroo is. I feel like a kangaroo, and like I said, their talons are on their feet. They're not on their punching.
You don't think a horse is as violent as a kangaroo?
No,
Have you ever tried to break a horse?
no,
Yeah.
I haven't. I've never
Yeah.
tried to break a
Okay.
kangaroo either, though. So
This is
Let
the
me
way I
ride
see
your
it.
pouch, bro. Let me ride your pouch.
yeah.
You got two possible outcomes here. In outcome A, scenario A, these things are just stuck in a circle pit and they're fighting. They don't know what's going on. The horse is going to run around until he inevitably runs into the kangaroo. It's going to hurt the kangaroo. But horses are roll ankles like nobody's business. So that kangaroo's going to get trampled once. But he's going to get back up. That horse is down for the count. As soon as he hurts that ankle, and then that kangaroo's going to town. If, however,
It's over.
they became a little more sentient and they knew that they was in a fight to the death, I think that horse could best that kangaroo if he was like.
It's all
Definitely
circumstantial.
stronger.
It's all circumstantial.
Yeah,
If the horse like rolls his ankle, or
if the
a
horse
kangaroo,
knows,
is-
I
like
gotta
has a
kill this
bad belly
kangaroo.
ache or something.
If the horse knows I gotta take this kangaroo out, he's gonna best him. But if they're
Okay,
just
so-
like,
If we're saying the animals are self-aware, then
Right.
yeah, I think the horse
Right.
would win. But just in a normal fight,
You heard it.
I think a kangaroo.
You heard it. The
I said,
winner.
these things have claws, man. Like they'll rip a throat open. They'll rip a piece of chunk of skin out of you. Like I wouldn't want to get kicked by a kangaroo. That shit would hurt. It would fuck you up. Getting
my
kicked by
dad
a
in the
horse
comments-
would suck too.
Hey, but
Getting
think
kicked by
about
a
it.
horse would suck too. But
He
you gotta
said
be
any-
behind the horse.
My dad in the comments said anybody who's voting for kangaroo obviously has never seen a horse try to mate.
Yeah, true.
Have you? That's
really
another
hot.
weapon.
Yeah.
That's a fucking 4-foot rope just getting
Knock
slapped up
you out
against your
with a
head, dude.
2-foot baton and just whap, baton.
What's your take,
That's
Tanner?
horrifying.
Do we really think, like in my head, kangaroo are very agile animals, right?
Right.
And I haven't been around a lot of kangaroos. Kangaroo Jack is about the extent that I know about kangaroos.
Oh God.
So,
When you see them in real life, they're stacked, bro. They sit back. with their chest
Steve
out.
Irwin is upset right
So-
now, dude.
yeah, so kangaroos in my head are a fighting machine. I don't know if this was just
Me too.
some bullshit that I read, but there was a Reddit.
Bro, you watched a cartoon where it had a
And-
kangaroo boxer, and you was like,
But
They can
do
fight.
box, bro.
Yeah, and that's
They get in there.
that's what I have. And then I read a post on Reddit
They
about
bob and weave,
horses.
dog. They bob and weave.
and
yeah.
they're useless animals. They anything bad happens to a horse, it dies. like if a horse is healthy, it's
they
cool.
don't provide meat or nothing.
Right, I've never had a kangaroo.
But, like if something happens to a horse, like if it sprains an ankle, like what do they? If a horse hurts itself in a race, what do? They put the tin up and kill it.
They make glue.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fresh
there's no-
elbows.
Horse
there's no
stew.
use for it.
Yeah.
Horse stew.
So all that kangaroo has to do is survive long enough to inflict the tiniest amount of damage to a horse, and it's over.
They
And I
can
feel
take-
like I don't trust, or I don't feel like a kangaroo is just gonna sit there while this horse turns all the way around and rears up and kicks it. I feel like a
Yeah, but
kangaroo's not gonna-
have you ever seen one like turn around like that? It's not like a 10-second process. It's like click,
Yeah,
click,
I've seen
bam.
that.
Okay, but have
But
you
I-
ever seen a kangaroo jump side to side? It's like click, click. There's no bam. They
I
just
watched-
they own it.
Yeah, but they got a baby in their
This
stomach,
is-
and they're not
this
trying to
is
lose their
not what I
food
was
stamps,
envisioning.
and they need the government assistance.
That's another
So
weapon.
they need to keep their
I would
baby.
throw my baby at you, little baby claws, Joey claws coming into your face, and then I'm gonna come in
I
towards the
love
didn't
what
even
this
think
has
about
turned into.
baby. Yeah,
I
The
love
Joey's
you
a
know
distract-
what, dude.
I'm gonna buy a kangaroo. Somebody buy a horse.
All right.
Let's
Okay.
fight them. Let's
The only
fight 'em.
thing I know for sure, I'll tell you who wins whenever a kangaroo and a horse fights. PETA wins on fucking court. That's who wins.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Fact.
I wish I could drink this fucking Wendy's drink with the fucking straw.
I feel like Fighting Ignorance is about to get their first lawsuit.
No, we're just fighting the ignorance of whether or not a horse and a kangaroo would be a good fight.
We've all came with some pretty.
That's a good comparison. Though.
That is, yeah. That's
It's very debatable.
Like I was sitting here and I was like, fucking, I had like what, gorilla and an elephant. Like, come on, dude, get that shit out. No, and don't start. But horse and kangaroo, never
I was
thought
about
about it.
to.
I've never thought about a horse
The
and a
elephant.
kangaroo.
Okay. Okay.
Elephant.
What about a
would
German
think-
Shepherd and a wild hog?
And a wild hog. Yeah,
Wild
all
hog
day.
Easily.
Wild hog.
That was a stupid question.
I have shot.
I'm
at
not
wild
going to
hogs.
ask anymore.
Yeah,
So that was the last question that I have for the battles.
I go to Mississippi every year and go hog hunting, and those things are vicious. If
Oh,
you're
yeah.
on the ground, the only thing that you can do is put a tree between you and it because it'll gore you. It'll tear you up.
They have wild hogs here in Louisville.
Yeah,
Hey.
they're spreading. They're a nuisance. They're bad
wild-
for crops.
A wild hog took out Robert Baratheon. The first is his name. Okay, that's all I got to say about that.
Fact.
Yeah,
Facts.
that is a fact. And they smash people to death
You're
with
right.
a hammer.
I'm
a
sorry.
war hammer.
All right,
so-
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
guys.
German Shepherd doesn't stand a chance.
Won't ask any more.
All right.
You should
We
have
have-
done like German Shepherd versus Pit Bull or something like that. I still think
That's
the
a good
Pit.
one.
I think the Pit.
You think a
would-
pit?
Yeah, they're huge, dude.
But bro, look how long the mouth of a German Shepherd is,
That's a good fact. But I mean,
and they're bigger,
I don't know.
and they're
All right,
bite
hey,
power stronger.
listen. Here in
Who's homeboy?
a minute, I'm gonna ask another one. But listen, here real
Let's
quick.
get off the
We have a new.
the animal topic.
Yeah, but I knew it would be a good one, so that's why I included it in what I wanted to
It was
talk
a
to
good one.
everybody about. My cousin Brandon is here to offer his insight on things.
It looks like he's the Chilada Boys.
I know I've got to
Mhm.
I've got to move stuff around. Hold on. I have like a Discord.
Let me just say this to our listeners, to those on Spotify, listening later. We always do this live,
Yeah.
so we're trying to deal with.
To,
live
hey,
technical
to be frank,
difficulties.
Alex, I'll probably go in and cut out a bunch of shit. Like, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Well, you're not even gonna hear me say this. So don't
Like your
worry.
announcement that we just said.
Yeah, your announcement is out. Any endorsements from the Chilada Boys, I have to cut them out. I don't want you guys. I don't want you guys seeing us down the road.
We're
bro.
not promoting ourselves. We're not going
Okay.
to promote ourselves,
God.
but appreciate the shout outs. Yeah.
Thank God. All right.
Thank God. Wow.
I'm-
All right. So yeah, you ready to go?
I'm
You
gonna-
ready to go, Posh? Okay. Yeah. Well,
I'm gonna throw another topic. I'm kind of gonna let you guys roll with it. Alex, go get on the Google Doc and just ask a topic.
Oh, I'm already there, bro.
All right, do it. I'm gonna start fixing this so we can all be presented well and not look all whack.
All right, let's just jump in. Let's go to gun control, huh?
Bam!
God.
Son of a
Here
bitch.
we
Bam.
go.
There's
No,
All right.
that.
none.
I feel like it needs no
I like it.
introduction. Everyone knows the current state of affairs. All right. How do you feel about the Second Amendment? Does there need to be more control, less control?
Very
What are
general.
your thoughts? All right, and let's keep it. So let's try to call people out so we're not talking over each other. Let's get that. Who's the new guy? Let's get his take.
Brandon.
What's your name, man?
It's Brandon. Can you guys hear me?
yeah, we got you.
All right. I'm not a huge fan of any more gun control. I feel like the background checks in current states are pretty good. There is things that could be better as far as like mental health, but that becomes such a slippery slope of I don't like you, so I'm going to say, oh, they have a problem mentally, and then all of a sudden, they can't get guns, and so that seems to be something that needs a lot more fixed than just throw more laws at it. I'm obviously new here to this stream, but my usual opinion is we don't need more government. So
Fair. Thank you for that take.
All right.
Chilada Boys.
Yeah, I agree with him because it's the slippery slope aspect is the fact because the mental health thing is so hard to really decipher about what is actually a mental health or what is like a vendetta against somebody that can prevent them from owning some kind of protection for themselves. It's just as far as it goes, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Let the Second Amendment be the Second Amendment until you figure out a concrete way to avoid the bias on just people's perceptions of you of what can allow you to get a gun or not. Because like the red flag laws is just all you got to do is call and say your neighbor was acting crazy the other day, and then they go and look in on him. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, he might be crazy, so he can't have a gun anymore.
Right.
You just strip that man of his rights. Yeah. So I also agree with Brandon and Dylan. I believe that there are too many laws already regulating gun control, and maybe not too many, but there should be a mental health aspect that goes into it. That it's hard, like he said, it's hard to decipher, man. It's hard to pull out what is mental health issue and what's just, some fucked up backwoods hillbilly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, our country was founded on guns. It was created and molded by people using guns and more firepower and stuff like that. So I don't feel like we should take that away from the people at all. Plus, our country loves to just shoot shit and blow stuff up. So you would really
Damn
see an
straight.
outrage.
You already can't get like a fully automatic gun. So
Yeah, you
there's,
can't
there's
go full auto or
and I don't think you should be able to.
But you got to think too. Your government is capable of building insane bombs and having all kinds of firepower and billions of rounds of ammunition and stuff like that. And for them to tell you you can't do that is tyrannical. It's tyranny at a base level. That is tyranny. So I don't feel like that's right. If they're gonna ban guns, then they need to ban themselves. They need to slow down the bomb production, and they need to slow down the ammunition production and all that kind of stuff. So that's my take on it.
Thank you for your take. Tanner, what you got, man?
I think a lot of like all politics today and what people want to do is just optics. Something bad happens, so people that want to get some amount of fame or
You want to go first?
jumpstart their political career or whatever, come up with something that is topical. It happens a lot with what I do. I'm in management at UPS, and a lot of everything we do is just about optics. So from my point of view on gun control is what's the main thing everyone focuses on banning? Assault rifles. What guns kill the least amount of people? Assault rifles. But when they do kill people, they kill a lot of people at one time. So optically, they look like the worst thing that exists in America today. But if the people wanted gun control, actually wanted to stop people from dying or to ban the guns that are killing people, handguns would be the first thing that should be on the ballot to get. But that's not. That doesn't sound good. Nobody. You say you're going to ban handguns, and you don't have a person in America that's going to agree with you on that.
Right.
So, I think a lot of it is just people just wanting to have an appearance, and this is the thing that I believe in because of a very topical, touchy subject. Because it's hard to look a parent in the face that's had their son or daughter killed in a tragic accident and say, "Hey, what happened to you is terrible, but living in a free country where you're allowed certain rights, there are certain bad things that are going to happen when people abuse those rights."
Yeah.
It would be wonderful if everyone in the world was good. We wouldn't need laws in that world. But with freedom of speech, the right to bear arms, there are people that are going to abuse those rights and say terrible things and do terrible things. But that is something you have to accept to allow yourself to have that freedom to do the right thing. And I say our government.
I just kind of want to pick up where you were talking. What you just said right there, where there are going to be people who are against it because their children and stuff like that died. It's not necessarily a gun problem as much as it's a person problem or a people problem. You know what I'm saying? Like you can take away guns and then you're going to get stabbed to death, or you can take away knives after that and somebody's going to beat you to death with a hammer or a rock. It's not a gun problem; it's a person problem. It has the way that you die isn't the problem. It's the person that's causing this to happen to you.
Right.
So I just wanted to reiterate on that. I agree with you completely. It has nothing to do with guns. It has everything to do with your mindset, who you are as a person, that mental health.
Yeah, we don't have a gun problem. We have a mental health problem.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to address mental health and actually say hey.
And why do you guys think that is? I'm just
Hey,
trying to.
I'd like to get Zohan's take on the just gun control as a whole first.
Yeah.
I mean, my take on it is that it is your right as an American to have guns. Like I said before, Americans love blowing stuff up, shooting stuff. I mean, there's gun shows. It's if you think of America, you think of guns.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, you don't need. I mean, I don't see a reason why the average citizen should have an AR-15 or any kind of machine gun. I mean, machine guns are made to kill people, basically, right?
Right.
You don't use AR-15 to shoot deer. blow stuff up. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess, I mean, what else? How more strict can you be though?
Brandon.
And you're doing, criminal checks and mental, psychological checks. What else can you do? You're gonna come to someone's house and take a home visit. I mean, I guess you have to just trust the person and trust that they're mentally capable of buying this gun. I mean, even if they banned guns all around in the U.S., people are still going to find ways to buy guns. People are still going to find a way to kill somebody. If somebody wants to kill somebody, they just said they're going to use a hammer or a rock or whatever, baseball bat. So, like Tanner said, it's not really a gun problem. It's more of a mental health problem. I feel like mental
At the end of the day, if you take away, like you said, a machine gun is not meant for hunting deer or anything that a civilian would use it for. But if war is brought to your front step, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're in a country and war is brought to you and you don't have a machine gun, you're in a bad spot. You're more than likely going to lose. So, I mean, it's that freedom to protect yourself, basically, from any threat, whether it be foreign or domestic. It is that it's that protection. That's why I think a machine gun, I don't think you should have full auto. I don't think you should have armor-piercing rounds and that kind of stuff. But I do feel like you should have a same quality weapon as what some of the most world militaries are using. So it's just a protection, a safety net. You don't have to have it. If you don't want it, don't buy it. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I feel about it. So, but I agree with what you're saying too. There should be checks. There should be more. Thank you.
Isn't it kind of harder to actually acquire like a full-on machine gun?
Oh, you can't. You have to have like a class 3 concealed carry license or something like that to have like any type of explosive ordnance or a machine gun like that shoots automatically and stuff like that. Now there are tricks that you can do to make your gun fire automatically and stuff like that, but
the bump stock, right?
Yeah,
isn't that
there are people that can like file down
hold on
pins
1 second.
and stuff like that.
Brandon, is it it's a class 3 license and then a tax stamp. Those are the 2 routes you can take to get automatic weapons, right? Or am I?
Believe you're right. I know that there's a license to get, and I think it takes like $10,000 in a couple years to get a fully automatic license. There's only a certain number of them allowed per state or maybe organization. Yeah. And then an explosive license, I think, is even different and even harder to get. So like a grenade launcher, rocket launcher, that kind of stuff.
Most of those you have to do through an organization too, so that's at least a stopper there. Yeah. Like you got to be a part of the police force or something like that to apply for that. But then a tax stamp anybody can do, but that still costs a lot of money, takes a long time, and it's kind of like a pretty.
And they do a background check like you're going into the FBI or something.
It's like a hardcore vetting process. I'm just.
That being said,
buying and selling.
What?
A tax stamp? What's that for? Buying and selling or something?
Buying a fully automatic rifle.
Yeah. And Austin, go ahead.
Now with that tax stamp, where it's such a pain to get, to get it, what do you think? Like the ratio of people there is in the U.S. that have illegal, assault rifles because of that.
I'm not sure.
Because I can't imagine everybody that you see that's walking around now with AR-15s or whatever are going to go through all that just to have it.
True.
Well, AR-15s aren't necessarily a fully automatic rifle.
Yeah, that's Armorite is a brand.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just getting my 2 cents real quick if I can. So me and Tyler have talked about this, and I feel like you have 2 ends of the spectrum. You're going to have people who think that no one should ever have any gun. All right? And then you're going to have people who think that we should just be able to have anything. All right. Most people are somewhere in between. Like most of us can all agree that people shouldn't own atomic bombs. Okay. So we can all agree that there's some sort of control that needs to happen somewhere on the board.
Right.
That's where I'm at. The problem is at what level? I don't know too many people that go, I mean, they're out there. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of fanatics. People, everyone should have whatever they want, but civilians shouldn't have atomic bombs. But then the same side of thinking, as Cody brought up, foreign and domestic. Okay, I understand people bring up the argument a lot, like, "What do you need this for hunting or whatever?" But we need to be able to fight off our government. We're not going to be able to do that with what we have today.
Yeah,
Even with assault rifles, which, by the way, in what I've learned, assault rifle isn't actually a category. Like, people call anything an assault rifle. Like, it's a look. A lot of guns have the assault rifle look, but there's no, like, this is an assault rifle, this isn't. It's whatever someone wants to call an assault rifle that day, it's an assault rifle. AR comes from the brand Armorite, which kind of gives the look. And if you look at it, it's just a handgun with a long barrel and a stock, if you really break it down. But my point of view is, I think instead of worrying more about what civilians have, not that that's not an issue, I think we need to bring back, we don't have militias anymore, because a lot of the second part of the Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia, and we don't have our own militias anymore. If you look at state militias, they're like these backwoods, redneck, you got like 8 guys on there. And then, because we used to have these militias that turned into the National Guard. So now it's no longer our state militias, it's a state branch of the military.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one of the things that I maybe I just don't know enough about it. I'm not a constitutionalist, obviously. I'm not an expert, but I'm wondering, where are these, like, if we're supposed to be able to fight off our government, where are our militias at? And they should be able to have machine guns. They should be able to have whatever, just whatever.
Like they should be able to
Maybe you
like
guys
register as
can
an
educate me a
organization.
little more on this, but can we have tanks?
I think why not?
Right?
I don't think
there was a
armed.
In Russia, they pretty much have whatever. Everybody remember that FPS Russia guy who just had this crazy arsenal?
That
You don't see people I don't ever hear about, like, crazy Russian kills 50,000 people with his tank. Like, I never hear it. Maybe it's happening.
Do
Like, I don't hear
you
it.
think we should be able to have tanks?
Hold on,
Yeah,
hold on,
absolutely.
hold
If the government
on,
can have
hold on
them,
a
we should
second.
have
Hold on. Tanner, what were you saying about
the
FPS Russia?
FPS Russia guy, he drove his tank through a White Castle 15 minutes down the road from me. That's
What?
where, if you go on his
Ooh.
YouTube channel, he drove a tank through a White Castle drive-through.
Where-
That White Castle's in Shepherdsville, Kentucky.
Where is he located? In Shepherdsville? Is that where he?
No, his name is Kyle. He
Right.
does a PKA podcast with, like, Woody gamer tag and stuff.
Yeah,
His name's Kyle. He lives in Atlanta. Or last time I checked,
I knew he was American, not
he went to prison for a little bit.
right over the gun thing, right? Or did they find?
I'm pretty sure it was drugs.
Yeah, they found some weed.
He had a
like
lot
when,
of weed on him.
Well, here's what I do know about him. I know that the government knew what he did. I know they knew that he had a lot of videos with a lot of explosions and a lot of high-powered weaponry. And I think that he said that they had sent him letters or done something like that, and then they came and, like, raided his shit, found marijuana, and then threw him in prison. It's garbage.
Because
What
of
are you trying to
marijuana.
imply there, Tyler?
That's plan. That's another
Well,
topic
and-
right there.
You take anything and you're going to find an instance where someone abuses it or uses it wrong. And I hate the argument like, oh, well, someone had a tank and they did something wrong with it. Well, like, I've seen there's stories of people killing each other with frozen turkeys. We're not going to ban turkeys. I mean,
Yeah.
No more Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
No more.
and this is the last point, and I'll just let y'all discuss. From what I've seen, I don't have the hard data, but almost every time you see a case, especially the school shooters and mass shootings, they got their guns, either they took it from someone else or they got it, the system that we already have in place wasn't done properly. And then they want to put more, I see people want to put more laws on it, and I'm like, why don't we first enact the laws we have in place before we tack on more laws? Because
Right.
every time you see one of these mass killers, they didn't follow the laws we already have in place.
Right.
Right.
So what is more laws going to help? Lori,
Yeah,
like
just because
Chicago,
just-
one of the biggest cities for crime, they have like no guns in Chicago. You can't buy them. She just came out and said, well, it's because states surrounding, they sell guns. That's why Chicago has a gun problem. And,
Just
and I'll
because
leave
you
it at
can't get the guns doesn't mean that you can't go to a back alley in the back of a fucking truck and buy some illegal guns.
I know people who build guns. No serial numbers, nothing. I know people who can build you a AR-15 with no problem.
You're a governmental target now.
Probably, but at the same time, I mean, it's if you're an outlaw, you're not following any law. You know what I'm saying? You're an outlaw. You're outside of the law. So you're not going to sit here and be like, oh, well, they just passed it. You know, I can't buy a handgun that carries 12 rounds now. So I guess, you know, my plans for
Yeah,
Saturday
just
are
just
shot.
because you're a felon, just because you're a felon and you can't own a gun doesn't mean you're a felon and you don't have a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
You still have access to them. It's not a, like I said, it's not a gun problem. It's a person problem.
And
It's a
way,
people problem.
it's way easier to get like when I lived in Danville, I partook in the marijuana and like
My man.
even in just that, like the person that sold it to me was like, "Hey man, you need any guns, dude?" I'm like, "No, I don't."
Not over
I do
marijuana.
not.
Not from you.
Not over marijuana.
Right? No.
Yeah. I've never wanted to kill anybody over like a
And
eighth or fucking, you know.
Yeah, I
Day-
don't want to kill anybody over no dirt weed.
days later, I'm not saying this just to like be I don't know, be dramatic, but seriously, days later, that guy that he was telling me about got like busted with all these guns. He lived like behind like Kroger or some shit. I don't know. It's kind of
Well,
kind of
and you
sketchy.
just
So you're a
brought up
gangster.
point
You're
for
a
why
thug.
gun
You're a
laws don't
gangster.
work. We have laws on the books that says it's illegal to buy, sell, or acquire marijuana, but you still got it.
Right.
Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
Same thing with law. Same thing with guns.
I wish I had that Snoop Dogg sound bit right now. I can just play it.
Yeah.
It's actually Nate Dogg. So
Uh-oh. Get your shit straight.
no problem, bro.
I guess I'll throw 2 cents in again.
Now I'm gonna
I
kick
think
you out, bro.
I think the biggest problem that we have is that you assume like adding more laws just hurts the law-abiding citizen's ability to do something. It doesn't hurt the felons because they're not going to listen to laws anyway.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty cliche, but I've seen plenty of people that's like, all right, just hold up a sign that says no crime and we've solved everything. You know, that doesn't work. You can't just say no crime, no guns, and expect the people that break the law to follow that.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
in with that, the only thing that stops a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. And so, yeah, you can depend on your police if you'd like to, which is not what I would prefer to do. And also with the whole defunding police, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point, that doesn't seem like a good way to go, because I live in the middle of nowhere, Kentucky, that takes 30 minutes for a cop to get to my house. I mean, hold on, bad guy, hold on, you're breaking in, but I need to wait for the cops to get here.
Was
You
that
know,
your
that
wife?
doesn't
Hey,
work.
Brandon, was that your wife that said, "Are you serious?" Was that?
No, she's not in here. She
Oh,
took Parker to her mom's house.
Somebody said, "Are you serious?" I thought that was her that said that. Never mind. Sorry, continue. I just thought that was
He's
funny.
married to a cop.
Right. That's a pretty good point. Like, some people don't have that to rely on, especially like rural areas. You can't just call the cops and like where I grew up, we couldn't call the police and expect them to be there in like, you know, a minute or two. It would take a very long time, like probably 5 or 10 minutes for a police officer to even start getting headed down to where we were. So I like grew up around guns, and as long I feel like a big thing in preventing gun violence, like I know that sounds stupid, but honestly, preventing gun violence is just practicing good, just responsible gun ownership, just period.
Gun safety.
Because a lot of people that do end up stealing a gun from a family member and shooting people with it or something like that. If you had gun locks or something like that and took extra steps with those people in your house, I'm not saying that like everybody should have like, you know, some sort of gun lock. I think they're actually required to be like sold with them now, like a trigger lock or something.
That kind of ties in with the content that your children are viewing. What we was talking about earlier.
Right.
You need to be more observant about what your kids are viewing and how they handle weaponry, and let them know that it's not
and how they view weaponry too, like literally, like
Yeah.
like that. Like I'm not saying, you know, don't let them play Call of Duty, but and that's like a whole separate thing too, I guess. But
teach them the rights and the wrongs of how to handle a gun.
right,
I'd love to hear Austin's
yeah,
rebuttal.
Actually, yeah. I was about to just say, all right, so growing up, my dad had a sawed-off shotgun. The barrel was cut short like Mad Max, basically. He had it laying next to him on his side of the bed. And I remember him taking my sister and I in there and telling both of us at a very young age that not touch this gun unless you absolutely need to, unless someone has come in that you don't know, for if you have to protect yourself. He showed us how to load it up. He showed us how to crack it open, take the safety off. He showed us which bullets to put in. That was it. And I mean, he taught us how to use it properly and when to use it best. He didn't just have it laying around. Oh yeah, that's my gun. You pick it up and look at it. It was this is what this is for. This is a tool for safety. This isn't a toy. And he always was really big on that.
Right.
Well, like you said, it's a tool. A lot of people look at it as a weapon. It's a tool. A hammer could be a weapon. A screwdriver could be a weapon, depending on how you wield it and what you do with it. So it comes down to, you're going to hunt and provide for your family. You're going to protect yourself, protect your brothers, your sisters, your family, that kind of stuff. And it comes with responsible parenting and responsible teaching of how to use a gun and weapon safety. You can't just play Call of Duty your whole life and have never touched a gun, pick a gun up and just start, slaying people. It's not going to be like that. You're going to have to have some training on it. So
there's no respawns out here.
No.
yeah. Once you're done, buddy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think
Does anyone
something
have any information on the militias side of it, or any takes on that part of it?
I feel like a militia is necessary. I feel like a militia is.
What was that group that just came to Louisville to confront the?
The NFAC.
Yeah.
The NFAC. They're actually, I think they're on our topics.
Yeah.
We can jump there. Shit, we can
Are they?
jump right
Are
there
they?
right
Are they not a militia?
Hey, listen. Here's, and I want to say one thing about a militia thing because you brought that up, Alex, and I didn't even really say anything on it. I think that it's very vital, like especially to any cause. Like I feel like a group of people that are solidified in the same idea. I think that's like that's all it takes really for a lot of things to happen. But with a militia, yeah, and like I'm gonna be frank, there's stuff that's come up recently where people have utilized social media to kind of get together and kind of formulate these things. Militias are very, very. I feel like a militia would be very important for the people if we really wanted to feel protected or whatever. But dude, it's gonna require some adjustment and some people not some. It's gonna require organization. Really, is what I'm trying to sit here and fucking say.
Think about how many
Serious
people are gonna start
organization.
a militia.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing
My-
about the well-regulated part. I think it comes down to more like it's got to be a state militia. You can't just have like the fucking Chilada Boys militia. You know what I mean?
Right.
Why not?
Yeah,
Why not?
Yes, you can.
But I think we've really pulled away from states' rights as far as like, if something happens, states got to be able to come up and say, "Fuck no, we're stepping in right now." You know what I mean? States. I mean, and we're seeing it all the time right now. The governor of what's state? Oregon, right? Saying, "Hey, get the feds out," and they're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now you can have your own opinion on that particular incident or not, but states, counties, cities have no protection. If the federal government comes in and says, it's fucking Red October up in here, there's nothing you can do about it because we don't have those militias.
Right.
Wolverines, baby.
But they got to be some
Wolverines.
sort of regulated. You know what I mean? Like this NFAC, like you can't just waltz in.
Hey,
waltz down.
listen. I'm gonna play the advocate. Where have you seen the disorganization there? Because I'm gonna tell you what. I saw more. Listen. I'm gonna use for instance the people that scrambled to go to cemeteries because they thought Antifa was gonna come desecrate the graves of veterans or some shit, which was all just formulated bullshit, made up on lies. If somebody's got proof, bring it to me. I'll change what I'm saying. But until then, I'm saying it's lies.
I agree.
They came, they gathered, they went there. They may have not like caused any trouble or anything. NFAC did the same shit, and I'll tell you what, they're in the streets. They're where, because police, I don't care what anybody also says, police were overstepping boundaries in places like Louisville and places like Seattle. We've got weird, there's weird non-contextual clips of things, but I don't really need the rest of the clip to with the guy that got pushed, the old man that got pushed down. I don't need any more for that. I've got everything I need there. NFAC's in the streets. I don't see anybody else in the streets, so I'm all for it. I don't give a shit. I can't say anything about them. If
We're just not we're not addressing. I'm sorry, we're not addressing the right problem. Once again, it's not it's not a gun problem. It's a person problem. So when you get these people doing this stuff, it has nothing to do with it, whether you own a gun or if you don't own a gun or if you believe in the Second Amendment or not. It comes down to this person is willing to hurt me and my family for whatever they believe in, and at what point is me believing in owning a gun and defending myself going to be set as like a standard? Like, I agree. Like, that's the way it should be.
You can't kill Abel with a rock, and we still got them bitches everywhere.
Exactly. There's rocks all over the ground. I could pick somebody up and smash somebody in the head with a rock, and go to prison for the rest of my life just as easy as I could pick a gun up and shoot somebody.
Right.
So it's not a gun problem. It's a person problem. It's people.
Oh,
People have problems,
I was gonna
issues.
say, I'll double down on that before. Looks like Austin was going to rebuttal. Was so over in Europe, they've kind of already took the gun problem or the gun banning route. And if you look at their gun crimes in the last 10 years, looks awesome. If you look at their knife stabbings, it's crazy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like there's
Super high.
been mass stabbings of someone like running through a bridge and killing or at least wounding multiple people. And
You're gonna have people out here with bows and arrows shooting each other if you take away guns. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna change anything. They're gonna be doing drive-bys with compound bows. So yeah, just coming out the back window like,
should
"What's
be
up,
crazy.
Rambo, bitch?" So it would be crazy,
I'd
but
be very-
at the
I'd
same
be very
time, it's not
scared.
gonna change.
so I
Taking
feel
a
like-
weapon away from somebody's not gonna change the way that they kill somebody. They're still gonna kill
It's
you.
all in the heart.
Yeah, it's in the intent of what people are trying to do. So I feel like you, as an American citizen, somebody who follows the laws and continues on doing the right thing, you should be able to own a gun, and you shouldn't have these stipulations put on you because of the actions of a few people who go out and
Opportunists.
shoot up churches and malls and movie theaters and stuff like that. You should be able to defend yourself and your family. 100%.
I agree.
So,
Austin, did you have something you want to say? Fuck. Wait. I thought-
Actually, no. I was just reading about the NFAC. I had never heard of that before until just now. I was reading
Now,
about them. I
Alex,
didn't know that they even existed.
Right.
I don't have all the info, but I've been watching it a little bit over the last month or so, and these are the problems I've seen with the NFAC. Okay, I have no problem with. I guess I worded it wrong with the militia, with the purpose. Coming and like what they did in Louisville, coming and challenging the establishment, what have you. That's a conversation on its own. But where they were before in Birmingham, they weren't calling out the establishment. They weren't trying to cause problems. They weren't with the government or city council or anything like that. They went in there and they were like, "All right, you racist motherfuckers, here we are. Bring your guns out. Let's fight." That's what they said. It seems like they're just looking for trouble, not just with the government, but with civilians.
Genuinely,
And that's where
'cause I want to know.
whenever he comes on video, one more thing. When he first came on video, someone's interviewing him. This is the first time I saw him. He's interviewing. He's like, "I'm Grandmaster Jay."
You're talking
You know what I
about.
mean?
Hey,
He's
listen,
like,
listen. I have to ask this because this is very important. You're talking about like in Oregon or in Seattle, right? That's where you're talking about now. This guy interviewed.
No, they were in Louisville, and then
Okay,
before that
okay.
they were in Birmingham, and then I'm not sure where they were before that when he was getting interviewed for the first time that I saw. It was like that big interview where he's like, "I'm Grandmaster Jay," and he's asking him, he's like, "Well, how long have you been running the organization?" He's like, "We're not going to disclose that." Well, that's where I draw a line. All right, why do you have to be so shrouded in mystery? That doesn't make any sense to me. You mean he said, "Just give us Texas." You know what I mean that's what we want. You know what I mean? I'm like, you're out of your freaking head, dude. You're out of your head.
I mean,
So it doesn't
that's
seem like they have a real
obviously crazy.
purpose. So on one hand, they're like, "We want reparations for all black people. Give us Texas. We want to start our own state." That's all right. Now you're calling for war with the entire American government, and then you're coming to Louisville and you say, "Well, I want justice for Breonna Taylor." Okay, well, or do you want to be part of this country or not?
That's
and
what
then
I'm paying
they're over in
attention to.
Birmingham just calling out racist people,
And I haven't
wanting
seen that.
bloodshed right in the streets. So they're just.
Where
I don't like the NFAC so far.
when did this Birmingham thing happen? Because I'm genuinely interested and want to look into it.
About a month ago, maybe if that. They were in Birmingham. There's videos of him in the street. They blockaded the street pretty much. Had big radio and was like, he's crouched down and he's like, "We're out here now. Where y'all at?" Basically calling out racists and bigots, saying, "Bring it on."
Well, that's the problem. You
I
can't
want to say it
fight-
was on the 4th of July. Yeah, I think it was on the 4th of July.
That's a problem. You cannot fight fascism with fascism.
Right.
You know, you can't fight racism with racism. You're going to have to find a more peaceful way to go about this in order to make, resolve stuff. So, I don't know.
That's the
Be
thing.
on
That's
that.
like you all have watched the Killer Mike speech that he made, right? Whenever all this first started to unfold.
I watched a good deal of it. I didn't watch the whole thing.
Well, what he basically said is that you rioting and burning your community down isn't going to help you change anything. At the end of the day, you just have a community that's torn and charred, but yet, these things are still happening. The best way to get rid of all this is to do it from the inside, which is to get in the political system and change it from there, because that's where it all starts.
Right.
Exactly.
So, I mean, he pretty much emphasized and said, you have to vote. Vote to get better people in there that actually do want, well for everybody. Or just, people that are having a hard time right now, the silent majority. So I get what the NFAC is trying to do. It's sort of like a new form, like the Black Panther movement. That's what I just read. And I mean, I guess they have every right to do something like that for sure. But like you guys said, they could have went about it a different way, a more peaceful way, because if you come in here looking for violence, especially in Birmingham, let's say,
You're going to find it.
you're going to find it. And then what all that causes is this, a conflict, and then it looks bad on both sides. Then they'll say, oh, well, they're not coming in here to be peaceful. They're coming in here, in here for violence. Whereas if you have, I guess like the protests in Lexington were pretty peaceful, I think.
Yeah.
They were there to be peaceful about it. And then they kind of made everybody look bad, and even you have all these, I don't know, like the racists or like the Klan people that may try and confront the NFAC. They're going to try and say, oh, well, we're just out here protecting, these nutcases. It makes us all look bad. It makes everybody look stupid, basically.
Well, and
Well, they're not
one
coming
of
out
the
there to be
problems is
peaceful.
with the NFAC.
Like Alex said, they came out there and he hunkered down and was like, "Hey, we're here. Come get the violence." Basically,
Yeah,
Right.
they're
they're not
asking.
coming out there
They
to
want it. They're asking
for a peaceful protest. They're coming out there for a fight.
Well, they're
And
not
it's
even well
basically-
regulated. In Louisville, they shot like 3 of their own, like were injured
Right,
because
right.
of fatigue.
Accidental discharge or something.
Listen. I gotta stop everybody because I'm having severe problems here. There's two things I want to say. One, they aren't the same people. If you've got two videos of one guy in Birmingham and then the guy in Louisville, and they're the same person, and you want to show me those two videos, then I'll say.
Oh,
they're
it's
the same
Grandmaster
people.
Jay. It's the same dude.
Yeah,
It's
he's the
Grandmaster
same
But
guy.
but I'd like to see that. One of you all that are saying this bears that burden of that
Okay.
proof, and I'd like to see it because I've seen quite the opposite actually. What I've seen is people in Birmingham and not people in Birmingham. I'm not going to say that because I haven't looked into that very deeply. But other people that are saying that they're with the NFAC, they end up misrepresenting. I know a lot of them, the ones that we saw and the ones that you guys are talking about that discharged a weapon. The guy was hot. He fell over. His weapon went off. I don't know if anybody's looked into that, but that's all that happened with that. It was same thing happened with the 3%ers that were out, but I guess nobody really cared about that or really wanted to say anything about it. The same exact thing happened. I think actually three people ended up going to the hospital. I'm not sure for what, but it's one. I mean, like that's just semantic bullshit. Trying to discredit them
Three
over that. I
people
just think
for
that's,
injuries from the discharge is what I read.
Right.
And we can, I guess we can debate that because I don't know about the Birmingham versus the guys in Louisville, if that's the same group or not. I just know that no matter what, if I'm carrying a weapon, you have to be in full control of the weapon. I mean, that's no different than if you're in a vehicle and you fall asleep.
Yeah.
and hit
I mean,
people.
hey, That's why that's
You're
just semantic
responsible.
bullshit. I just think that's just
Yeah.
semantic shit. I mean, the same thing happened with 3%ers, and if somebody's saying that to try to discredit the fact that there was a large group of people that had weapons out somewhere, and somebody discharged it, and they're using that to try to discredit them, we got to do it to the other side too, because they did the same exact thing.
Right.
but-
No, there's an idiot in every group.
Right.
No matter what,
There's
what race or whatever
opportunists.
kind of movement that they're trying to make.
Opportunists.
There's always someone that has not
Ulterior
necessarily the
motives.
same. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
There's
Ulterior
always
motives.
opportunists in everything, and I think a
Yeah.
lot of the people that get in front of a microphone, even if they're with the NFAC or even if they're not, I think they're misrepresenting a lot of stuff. I think a lot of the people, a lot of the black men that were there that day that were saying that they're there in support of Breonna Taylor, I think that's what most of the sensible ones there that day were doing. And to like,
Right.
that's what I'm looking at. The opportunists, they're garbage,
Right.
and they're shitty to the cause, and they contribute nothing. If somebody wants to go out and they want to demand justice, and this is something else we could talk about too. I'm not sure if you all want to get into it right after this, but if they want to get out there and demand justice, just like people did on Rumor 3 weeks ago, they can. I'm in support for them. Actually, I'm in support of them.
100%.
They
Yeah.
need to do it if
100%.
that's the way they. And anybody that wants to trail off of the let's get justice from Breonna Taylor thing, you're just an opportunist and you're hurting the cause.
Right.
Yeah, you're not doing any favors for them. Yeah, you're hurting the, like you said, you're hurting the cause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
So,
think
I
all
agree
that
with
can be
that,
boiled
100%.
down to, and I don't know if you want to go here or not, but like the misrepresentation of the groups is not necessarily that one spokesperson's fault as much as it is the media's fault
Agreed.
for picking
Right.
that person
And that's all groups.
to
That's all groups.
talk with them.
Yeah.
And I'll say, I mean, I know for a fact the company I work for says if someone from the news company shows up, you give them this person's phone number, they're our spokesperson.
Right.
Like, there is someone's job to
Mm-hmm.
be the company's spokesperson, be the group spokesperson. And if you're not talking to them, then
Then you shouldn't
it's
take it
someone else's
seriously.
motive,
Right.
right? It's someone else's ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, and I know for a fact just from small town media, I mean, they can't get quotes right in newspapers from
Right.
somebody that I know personally, then I can't look at them and be like, okay, so they got all that story right. You know, there's always multiple stories when you're looking at something in some sort of media sense.
Right.
So I don't know if y'all want to go there or not, but that's the problem is their misrepresentation of the group is happening because someone with a camera and a microphone is saying, hey, are you with this group? Do you have an opinion?
Mm-hmm.
Can we make a story out of it? Sure. You know?
Well, I think well that's what sets the NFAC apart. I will always negatively say anything about like the 3%ers negatively discharging and stuff like that, but the NFAC has a figurehead, a president, a runner. His name is Grandmaster Jay. He's the one who makes all the speeches. Tyler, I just sent you 3 separate videos: the Birmingham, Louisville, and the interview where he said, "Give us Texas." It's one guy. It's Grandmaster Jay. It's an organization. He's claiming to be the head of the NFAC, and that's where you draw a problem because these aren't just rogue members of an organization. This is the head of an organization saying, "This is what we stand for. This is what we want, and this is what we're going to do."
Was he there on the steps in Louisville?
Yeah,
Louisville, yeah, he was
trying
there.
to kill me. Y'all gonna let him kill me? It's Grandmaster Jay. He's the one that was knelt down, calling people for violence, calling for violence in Birmingham. He was the one in Louisville with the microphone on the steps, and he was the one in the interview saying, "I'm
Okay.
Grandmaster Jay."
All right.
That's my problem with the NFAC.
Then you know what? Then I agree. And you know what needs to happen, right? The people that are behind the cause that he's pushing for Breonna Taylor need to pull him the fuck out because he's just going to damage their cause. So in other words, this just seems like it might just be a big fuck up, and it might just be a big bunch of fuckery. And the lack of a well-regulated, it doesn't have to be a militia for a cause like Black Lives Matter, but the lack of organization has just, I guess, just thrown it in the trash, thrown the cause in the trash, because he is what people think of now when they think of Black Lives Matter in Louisville. That's just how it is.
Well, and that's my problem. If he would just come to Louisville and be like, "We're calling for justice for Breonna Taylor," because he said something like, I don't remember the exact day. You'd have to watch the video, but he said, "We're coming back in X amount of time. If we don't have justice, then we're gonna have a problem."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I'm talking to you, talking about the mayor of Louisville," and he said, "I'm talking to you, Mitch McConnell. I know he called Mitch McConnell out by name.
Now, you got a problem with that? Does anybody have a problem with that?
I think he gave
I-
us
Not at all.
three
You're
months.
making open threats.
One at
So I
a
think
time.
the
Here's how
only-
I
Hold on. Alex,
Here's-
go first since he brought it, and then we'll go down to Posh and then Brandon.
I think it's riding a line because he said, I'm talking to you. And then he made some veiled threats, which that's still freedom of speech. But I think we need to watch this guy because I think the more he sees what he can get away with and what he can say, I think soon we're going to see open threats. And if it continues going on, eventually there's going to be bloodshed.
Yeah. All right.
I agree.
Posh,
I
go
agree
ahead.
with that completely. Okay, so I totally agree with that, right? Like, I feel like there should be justice for Breonna Taylor. What happened to her was horrific and it should never happen, right?
Agreed.
But at the same time, you can't come down here and blame an entire state for something that happened in a police department in Louisville. And on top of that, you're coming into a state where people like to sit 30 feet up in trees and shoot things just for fun.
True.
So, like, your little I'm gonna come here and fight you is just going to incite a riot even more so.
Yeah.
Like, Kentuckians are hotheads, bro. We're willing to fight. We're ready to fight. So when you say stuff like that, you're kind of like just progressing the hate and the continuation of fighting. And I don't think that's right. I think that there needs to be some more 1960s peace movements and stuff like that, holding hands together and marching on capitals and stuff like that. That needs to happen more so than we're going to show up with guns and we're going to fuck you guys up if you don't show up and
Right.
if you don't, support us. I don't feel like that's the right way to go about it. If you threaten people, it's never going to end well. It will never end well. You have to have like a sense of, I'm willing to understand what you're going to say. And like I said, I don't think what happened to Breonna Taylor is justice at all or anything like that. I feel like that is a terrible thing to happen to her and her family, and that there should be justice made for that. You know what I'm saying? Like they should definitely happen.
Yeah.
But you can't threaten people. You can't fight fascism with fascism, man. It's never gonna work. You can't just sit here and be like, hey, we're gonna come to your doorstep and we're gonna fuck you guys up if you don't, do what we say.
Right.
People are gonna resist to that.
Mhm.
People are going to resist. So you need to. I don't know. I don't know who needs to be the bigger person at this point, but
Yeah.
at some point somebody has to just go, this isn't the way to get it done. We're going to have to all come together, put our heads together, black, white, Mexican, whatever you are, it doesn't matter. Because once again, it doesn't matter what your pigmentation is.
Right.
It all matters as to who you are as a person, the content of your character. Do you want innocent people getting shot in their houses at the middle of the night? No, we don't want that. I don't want that. I don't think anybody wants that. So you can't. We got to stop putting colors in front of things, man. We got to stop saying like black people are coming to fight white people and white people are angry against black people and all that stuff. We're all Americans, man. We're all people. We're all going through the same struggles right now. And a lot of people don't realize that. So that's got to stop. That's the biggest thing. That's how you end racism. And that's how you end all this stuff right here is we need to unite as people.
Because it really is.
100%.
It's ultimately an accountability in the police issue, and not so much a race thing.
Exactly. Exactly. You have.
If Brandon, go ahead, Posh. But if Brandon has anything to say on what we were just talking about, and then Austin and Tanner, then I want to let you all say something. So I'll ramble and be an idiot.
I don't have anything else other than just we're all people. We're all human beings. We all live on this planet. I don't think that the word African American should even be used. We're all Americans. We all lived here. Most of them have descended from here for the last 300 years, so they're Americans in my book. Like
Right.
you're not an African American. You're not a Black American. You're an American.
Yep.
And putting color in front of things makes things worse.
Mm-hmm.
It creates that divide. And
Yep.
that's what you don't want. You don't want that. We need to be united.
Because then we get here and we get people thinking that people are being racist over different things, and
Exactly.
it's not even really like that. It's the police are not being held accountable for certain things.
Actions, yeah.
And it just objectively is that. Like that's.
Yep.
Uh,
Focusing on the wrong thing.
Brandon,
The
go
only
ahead.
thing I'll say is I really do think that more people, especially in Kentucky and at least in my communities, I know there's a lot of what I call or what I've I guess wrote as like a second degree racism. like I would say the older generation in my area is not racist if they see a black person in Lincoln County getting gas. Like they're not going to be like, I don't want to talk to that guy, I don't want to look at that guy. But they'll see and tell stories about the city black people or the Chicago black people with a very racist intent. And it's more like they don't realize that prejudice or that way that they're looking at things is still racist.
Right.
I know, like I said, they would never look down on somebody in Lincoln County, regardless of the color of their skin, and like not help them or not, you know, talk to them. It's more like the others, the outside that they don't want any part of, right? And so I think that's an issue, and that is an issue that is being fixed just with time.
Right. Yeah. I
That
agree with this
kids
big time.
like kids under my age, I guess, the teens and the kids that are growing up, they really don't see different colors.
Right.
And part of that is the mixing of white and black families to where it's all one color.
Hey,
now.
hey, Brandon, now, listen, dude.
Yeah.
What you're talking about, I've been saying this, and I agree with it completely. Do you think that? I think it's less so much that families are mixing or colors, if you want to give it a name, colors are mixing. I think it's just that we just don't want to be that racist. Or it's not even like be that racist, but we just don't. We don't
Put a
feel the
label
need.
on it?
Yeah, we don't feel the need to spread that lower. Because, dude, that is the most true thing ever. There's probably one person in everybody here's family that is like just a little prejudice, and I think it's just a time thing. I think it's like when they were born, what they went through. I just think that's how. I don't know. Just think that's how they were conditioned to be, even by their parents.
And going off of that, I guess that second degree racism that's around here, I really do think that the system as a whole, and I mean the system as in the world or the country we live in, for a while, for sure was against black people. And I mean, there's no arguing that. Right. There was segregation of schools. Mm-hmm. And then once that became not allowed, once black people were allowed to vote, then they went after the economy. And so they didn't get them as educated, therefore they couldn't get as good jobs. They put them in suburbs or in areas of low income and poverty, which made their schools have less good teachers, I guess. There was laws against them getting loans at banks. And I mean, if you really go back into 50 years ago, like the system was against them. And I didn't know that until I did some research. Like there was, I don't know if any of you all have applied for loans at banks. I have. It's not a problem, super easy. But they give you all this like fair market housing packets. So they're like, what is this for? Like, I don't care. I throw it away. But I don't know if you've noticed on even like advertisements. You listen to a bank's advertisement, they'll always end with, we are an equal opportunity lender and a member of FDIC. So the equal opportunity lender is something that they had to talk about at one point because they weren't before that.
Right.
So like it was literally, they wouldn't loan out to black people to get a small business, you know, like the system was completely against them. And I didn't know that personally. And so I did some research, and that was only after probably in the last couple months that I started really digging into how many layers of struggles they had, like I say, which is still bad, had to overcome to get to where we are today. To where I truly believe the system has laws in place to be more fair, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily being followed.
Right.
So how recent is that now that they won't allow black people to get the same kind of loan that a white person would
actually nowadays
technically get?
Nowadays it's the exact opposite,
Yeah,
and it causes an inverse problem. So with what you have now is you have affirmative action saying, and the government teaming up with that and saying, you know what, banks, schools, jobs, we're going to incentivize you to hire minorities. We're going to incentivize you to hire Latinos. That's why they have race, and they also have what's the one for it's either you're Latino or you're not. They don't call it race, ethnicity.
Ethnicity.
So when they hire based on that, and what they're doing is like it's a lot easier to get a housing loan as a Black American, and they will give you loans. And this is not just blacks though. This is across the board, but more in the Black community. They'll give you a house loan that they know you can't pay.
Right.
And then you're worse off after it. Or you can get into a school with a lower GPA, okay, with affirmative action. So that's racism right there. I was talking with someone they had on Facebook, and it was an African-American girl, and she was like, why does this job need to know my race? That's racist. I was like, well, you're going to hate affirmative action. Because let me tell you, you're more apt to get the job if you're African-American, is why that's on there, because they're going to get tax deductions, okay? In schools, African Americans have to have a lower GPA to get enrolled into a school than so do whites. Asians, and even lower, because proportionately they have higher IQs. You can argue why. No one thinks it's physiological. It's the way they're raised and stuff. They spend so much time in school. But an Asian kid has to have an even higher GPA to get into that same school. And so I think
systematic racism.
It's become an inverse problem. You couldn't get the loans before. You couldn't get the houses before. You couldn't get into the schools before. Now, here's the opportunity. We know you're going to fail, right? Because, like you said, there was those. That's what I consider the systemic racism that happened in America, is because we did have the racist, overtly government, and all these people are in these inner cities, and it's bred, and it's like over generations had it harder. All right, they grew up a certain way. All right, they put into these slums. You know what I mean? And now, that's what's caused this systemic racism, and that's what
they put the blanket over.
That's the argument I see for reparations. I'm not big on reparations. I'm not learning enough about it. But when people say, "Well, I never owned a slave before," that's really not looking at reparations. Whenever I think about it, I'm like, well, because of what was happening in the 1960s, your generation is worse off today because the school systems are worse. Your housing was worse growing up. You have lower health standards are lower, and all this because of what happened then. It trickles down. So that's the argument for that. So I think it's just a great thing, and what you get is people who are on one side or the other. You get people who are saying, well, there's no racism whatsoever. And you got people on the other side who are everything's racist, so much to the point where like you felt bad for saying they when you're talking about a people's. Like, you shouldn't feel bad when you're talking about African Americans as a group, and then saying they, you shouldn't feel bad about that. But everything's racist today. And so I think that's what pushes people further and further in opposite directions, because you can't have conversations like we are today. Because I'll tell you what's going to happen. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on here right now, 7. It's a bunch of white privilege talking right now.
Right. And listen, I want to say this right now, and I kind of want to talk about it because we are getting called out. We're currently getting called out because somebody said that we're a very diverse group, and I'm only bringing it up because it's kind of triggering. I don't see all we're doing is just talking, and I kind of shouldn't have done this. I'm kind of talking to that person now, and I don't really care. We're just talking about things, man. We don't have to be a certain color. We don't have to be a certain anything to talk about just random things. We're actually sitting here talking about disparities that we see as white people. So I don't see how that.
But you see, that's kind of a racism kind of statement right there in themselves, because they don't know the background of each individual that is in this topic of conversation right now. He's got a
black aunt. I have black cousins.
None of that should matter. You shouldn't have to meet a check mark to be able to say I have an opinion on this.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to meet a list of check marks to be able to say, you know what, I have an opinion on that. I can see that.
Like, I'm not even gonna tell who's in my family that may or may not be white. I don't give a fuck. Like,
it shouldn't matter.
Sorry. Some things will just not be diverse enough for people. What we are seeing now is a person that sits on the opposite end of the spectrum that Alex was talking about, where everything's racist. We can't even have conversations because we're not diverse enough. When they don't even it's somebody that I don't know.
Like you said,
that's what it all comes down to, is that nobody is willing to talk. I mean, to get over any situation, any kind of conflict, whether it's with racism or whether it's a conflict with your wife or spouse or whatever, You sit down and talk about it. I don't know if you all know anything about this man. I can't remember his last name. His first name is Daryl. He is
Daryl
African. Daryl Day, the
Daryl
one that
Day.
has.
They're like,
There's a guy.
The heavy hitter.
He
The
brags.
hammer.
He brags about, I guess, converting Klan members into not being
Yeah, he was on
racist.
Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Daryl
There's
Davis.
actually,
Daryl Davis.
Yeah.
I think there's actually a documentary. It's either a documentary or it might be like a little Vice article all about him. And he's had people. And I think in the documentary he talked to both white people and black people. And the whites were saying, how are you, why are you doing this? Talking to these Klan members that obviously want to kill you. They do not like you. And he just says, I'm just talking to them. But then he also goes to the African American side, and they get mad, and they tell him, they say, you need, like, what do you like? You're trying to fraternize with them. You don't leave them alone. And after watching that, I kind of realized that really what it all comes down to is everyone needs to just be open-minded and be able to talk.
Yep.
I mean, the fact that in this day and age, somebody or some group can think that they're more superior than another group is stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
the fact that, and I mean, you can do everything you can to end racism, but at the end of the day, at least for me personally, I think that it is bred, is that people are gonna, if they feel this, if you have some backwoods hick that lives in Alabama who's been raised throughout the Klan, his entire life, he's gonna try and put that into his children.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's bred into those people. But the fact that if you think that, you're an idiot. There's no one's more superior than the other, and like you guys were saying earlier, or like Brandon was saying earlier, it seems like kids that are younger than us are kind of taking note to it and just saying that this type of ideology is dumb. There shouldn't be any kind of color division, which is good.
That's what we want. That's where we're heading. That's what we wanted. It's just going to take time. Like Tyler said earlier, it's a generational thing. Like if your great grandpa was a super bigot and racist and stuff like that, he's going to pass that down to your grandfather, and then your grandfather is going to pass part of that down to your father, and then it's going to get passed down to you. And that's what it is. It's a generational racism problem.
And I feel like that racism is like further away from the spectrum of reality than right now that it has been for a long time. And as generations go along,
It's true.
We're not seeing.
We're
not seeing
progressing a whole lot better than it used to be back in, say, the 60s.
Yeah, we're not seeing
Children
segregated water fountains,
raised
segregated schools and segregated churches and stuff like that. It's not near that type of racism hasn't reared its ugly head up in a long time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we haven't had people who have just been like, oh yeah, you can't come here because you're black, or you can't come here because you're Mexican, and that kind of stuff. Like that is being more accepted as time goes by, and this next generation that's coming up, Alex, your and my child, are going to grow up in a world where we don't see color. You know what I'm saying? Like we're getting past all that. And the more that I talk to you guys, the more I understand is we all kind of feel the same way, that like you got to stop putting colors in front of things, man. You got to stop saying like these people are this way and that person's this way because of the pigment of their skin. And that's the biggest problem.
But politically, I think racism will always be used as like
a tool.
A tool.
Division,
for lack of a better word.
Yeah, it keeps you divided and keeps you voting one way or the other.
It's one of the easiest things to just do it with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They hate you.
It's like abortion and gun control. It's something to get you leverage off of your votes or something.
Alex,
well, I know this. Whether you're on the left or the right, anytime you see a black conservative, immediately anybody on the left, white and black, they're calling him Uncle Tom.
Yeah.
They're calling him Coon. They're telling anybody who listens to him,
that's racism within racism.
That's
racism. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well,
that's a stupid way to be.
Because of his opinion. That's garbage.
Yeah,
overt racism is becoming a thing of the past. Like this is the system-wide blacks can't have this. You're finding less people running down the road, seeing someone pumping gas and just yelling the N-word at them.
Right.
But I think you are just doing a disservice to the conversation as a whole if you don't look and see there's a big class dichotomy, and
About to go
a
there,
large
Alex.
proportion
Let's
of the
go.
lower class
Right.
is a large proportion of African Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so
no
that's
doubt.
where they talk about systemic racism. It's really a class thing, but because of everything that happened in the 60s and on, you have a disproportionate percentage of African Americans in under that poverty line. I'm live, hun.
I didn't hear it. And that's very true. Listen, I want to follow up because the person did say something else, and it's something that I feel like we all need to at least pay attention to since we did at least say something towards what they said. They said there's a similar perspective from the other side. If you grew up like me and you met white people who put you down, we're also scared and don't get it. I want to let everybody say something, but I want to say something first. And Sean Hobbs said that we're apologizing for having the conversation. I'm not apologizing for anything. But what I do, I'm not going to apologize either for other people's actions. They're just shit people. But if anything like that happened around me, if I ever saw anybody undergo actual inherent racism from someone directly to them, if I knew that it wouldn't put my family in danger or something like that, and even then I may make them go out of the way, I'm saying something about it.
You're going to check them.
Yes,
You got to check them.
and that the accountability factor is something that will also help get rid of this on the surface level. So that people just got to know that people are going to be out here and not going to jump whenever somebody says something that's not quite racist. But if somebody says something that's racist to you in public, you're not like alone. And I know I'm not the only person that
and
thinks
in your
that.
home too. Like for instance, I know she's not like my girlfriend's dad came to visit right after Zan was born, and he dropped the N-word. I looked at him. I said, "Hey, we don't say that in this house." You know what I mean? And it's
not how we
simple
Done the
steps
same thing,
like
bro.
that.
Yeah.
Simple
Same
steps
thing.
like that, and it was
Like
uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable because he's like,
Right.
I didn't
has
mean
to
this
be
or that. But I'm
uncomfortable.
like, look, I'm not saying anything negative towards you. I'm just saying, however you're saying it, we don't say that here. You know what I mean?
And if anything, he
I
should
think
see
that
that.
is
He should
in
see
the
that
home
and be
front.
like, "Wow, okay, that's my grandson's dad. Wow, that's good."
He's
See,
putting-
that's how it's happened in my house. Like I've had a friend who I live. Tyler, you know, I live in the boondocks in
Yeah.
Kentucky,
Yeah,
just in the backwoods of the backwoods.
yeah,
And we've got neighbors who we all get along with and we all hang out with. And I've heard them say it in like a racial slang kind of way. And the first time I'll be honest, I kind of let it slide. And then the second time he said it, that's whenever I kind of like poked him on the shoulder and I'm like, hey, step outside with me for a second. I need to talk to you.
That's not what we're
And
teaching.
whenever we walked out, I was like, hey, man, I understand. And this is the inherent racism thing that we're talking about.
right.
But what I told to him is, I understand how you were brought up and stuff, and I understand that wasn't a taboo thing to you, but around me, and especially if you're in my house, it's not something we're going to say. That's not something I'll tolerate. So I would appreciate if you didn't say things like that. And you know, the guy has grown from it.
Right.
I've never heard him say anything outside of the lines of appropriateness since then, and he's always been respectful from it. Now that doesn't read the story of his heart to me, but it reads the story of him, you know,
Being open.
progressiveness.
At least he
Yeah.
knows, you know, at this point, right here, this place, I can't be
Yeah,
that
this
person. You know, I can't
like
be
now.
that
There's
person.
going to be
Yeah.
places, you know, that he may go to next that may also say the same thing. So I bet he won't do that anywhere else.
Right,
Or,
right.
or maybe
He's gonna-
he just may not. Not even that he won't, but maybe
Right.
he'll be
Right.
less inclined to, and that's cool.
He'll
That's
be
good.
more inclined to monitor himself.
Right,
To
right.
be like, you know what, these are the things that, you know, like trigger people, regardless if they're the race I'm talking about or against the, you know, or not the race I'm talking about and stuff like that.
Well,
So
And that's
Yeah,
a
we
really
gotta-
great way of looking
gotta
at it. I'm
And
sorry.
maybe I should have never let him get by with the first one, but I'll have you know
Hey, listen,
that
listen.
by the second one it was a
Don't-
no
listen,
go. I
there's
pulled
one-
him to the side and
Alex, I'll let you go after this. I want to say this. There's one thing that I think that we all have to, like everybody that's involved in the slow evolution of dropping this racist, just fucking embedded
Dumb shit.
racist bullshit,
Yeah.
is to not be critical of yourself about that. Like, I know that, of course, if a black person is around you and they hear you say that you skipped the first one, you may feel like you need to dodge saying that or something. But I feel like even the fact that it happened is like a thing, like
You brought it
the
up.
most notable deal. Like
Right.
that having that perspective on our end, like to where we'll be able to, or where we'll be willing to say, hey man, don't say that stuff, just like around my son or at my
Well,
house.
see,
Don't do that.
A lot of people don't know about me, but I grew up with my grandfather was black. He was a
Right.
black man. He wasn't my blood grandfather, but he was with my grandmother since my dad was 5 years old.
Mhm.
So I grew up, and that man was my grandfather, and I loved him more than anybody. And to be honest with you, it makes me emotional talking about it because he's gone now.
Right.
But I don't deal with that shit, man. I love my papa more than anything.
Something that I want
It
to
meant a whole lot to me.
something I want to jump
And
in.
it didn't
is
matter
funny.
about the color of his skin or anything like that, but he was
Never
a family
questioned
member
it.
to me.
Never asked why.
He never treated me like I wasn't his blood grandson, and I never treated him like he wasn't my blood grandfather.
Like, I have a
And
black aunt.
whenever he died, I've never been more devastated in my life.
Same way. Black aunt. I got black cousins. I have cousins. Yeah.
And I'll say this real quick: the way that was handled with you and that guy was great because he grew from it in some way. He was introduced to another idea of how to do things.
Right.
The problem I see with society today is this cancel culture. The moment someone does something that's deemed racist or whatever, what do? They yell at them. I want to take your job. I want you to feel like the piece of shit. I want you to be disowned by society. What do you think that's going to do? That's just going to breed more hate. That's why I love this podcast. There was a person on here who was eventually started out kind of aggressive with us on the comments. We engaged with them. And they're like, look, I was kind of a little aggressive there. You know what I mean? That's what it takes to get progress, is less the moment someone says something you don't agree with or like goes against the fur.
Alex,
they'll
read
get
read
mad
what they're
at-
saying. Read what they're saying in the chat.
So the dude said that first off, the person was like saying something about basically I was racist because I said something about Asians and IQs, and they brought up a couple things, and they said, look, I was unnecessarily aggressive at the start. It was inappropriate. I mean, because we engaged with this person. You know, we didn't just say, well, block you, F you. You know what I mean? That's what it takes. What we're doing right here.
Hey, because
What
I'll be
you did with
frank.
that guy at your house.
Because I'll be frank. Whenever somebody gets on here and they just say some stupid shit, I usually just block them. Like just because I'm not gonna just sit here and engage. But this was something that I feel like would be a decent topic. Alex, read the rest of what they said because they said something.
So then he
one more.
said, I've never actually heard that. I think he's talking about us calling out our other white friends or something.
Yeah.
My white friends have said to me, and I'm guessing this is a black person, you're not like them. Their intent was good, but they didn't make me feel good. That's why I might be a bit defensive. And that's kind of what Cody was talking about, or excuse me, I don't remember who was saying it. We don't have those racist people in our town who are going to call you an N-word at the gas station, but it's like, oh, well, you're one of us. You're not like the other ones. You know what I mean? Or they say stuff like, oh, well, you're one of the good black people. Stuff like that. So like,
That's some
inherently
shit.
racist.
That's some shit.
That's racist to say. Yeah, that's not.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. And society today wants to take someone who does something like that, demonize them, lose your job, and all that. And that's just not the way it's done. You know what I mean? It's I think it's open conversation, saying, hey, that's kind of wrong.
I'm not saying.
Here's why.
I'm not saying the fight is done, but I'm saying if that's the racism you're dealing with compared to the racism that you might have been dealing with in the 60s, saying like you can't
It's
drink out of
progressed.
this water
It has
fountain,
progressed, no
we've
doubt.
come a long way. Like
Yeah.
you can't,
Hey,
you can't
and
argue
look,
the
and
fact
look.
that we've gone.
I'm not saying that what you're saying is insensitive, Posh, but I feel like to somebody that's had things happen to them, that I feel like it may
It's
be.
insensitive.
So I'm
Well, at
it
least
might
it's
be.
not as bad as it used to be.
I'm
That's
gonna
kinda
add, I'm gonna
how it
add something
Yeah,
to it.
I know.
though.
I get that. Yeah.
Right.
What
Yeah.
and what Posh really means also by that too is that there are people like us everywhere. There are people like us that'll be like, hey man, like don't say that, like don't do that shit. I don't know that like there are a lot more people like us, like Posh would do it. I know he would do it if somebody was being racist towards somebody out in public and it was like a racially motivated thing. I'm sure that anybody
I will
in here-
personally stand up for you
Right.
if I feel like you are being racially profiled. I will personally stand up for you. I do not think that there is the racial divide that it used to be. I don't feel like once again, we're going back into the media. I don't feel like the media is portraying it fairly. I don't feel like it's exactly what they're
Well,
saying.
that's
if
because
you walk
peace doesn't
outside-
sell.
right.
Exactly, 100%. If you walk outside your door, man, like you're gonna run into all kinds of walks of life, all kinds of different people, and you have no problem with it. I have no problem with it. We all do everything together, anyways. Like the way I see it, it's rich versus poor. That's
Yeah.
that's just how I see it, man. Like
Yeah.
it is like the elite versus everybody else. So we're all brothers and sisters in this fight, anyways. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care
I'm
where you
super proud of
stand
my dad.
religiously, none of that stuff. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't matter to me, man. Like I consider you an American. If you're born in this country and you did that, you're an American. I'm not going to call you an African American. I'm not going to call you a Hispanic American. I'm not going to call you that. I'm going to call you an American because that's what you are. You're an American. We put these colors and these races in front of you, and it keeps us divided. And that's a problem. It shouldn't be that way. You're an American. 100%.
Yeah.
Black history is American history.
Mhm.
100%. It is
I'm gonna
American.
jump in one more time because I
Yeah.
let it go for a little bit. But what you all both talked about, Alex and I'm not sure your names, Dylan
Cody.
and
Yeah.
Cody.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Chilada Boys.
I call myself Posh, man. Most people don't call me Cody. It's Posh.
All right.
Sorry.
So
Sorry.
both of you just ironed out and showed what Austin down there talked about earlier, is that conversation is what solves things. So both of you had problems, racial problems in your households from people that were visiting, and you took them to the side and had a hard conversation. And that's what's missing in the politics, I guess, of the world, is that people can't have a hard conversation. And I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm glad that Tyler allowed us to get together, allowed me to join for a little bit. I won't be on here much longer. I'm going to get off in about 10 minutes because my wife's been kicked out of the house with our little kid because I wanted some peace and quiet. So
I got to be going soon too.
So I'm really glad, like I said, that Austin talked about the ability to have a conversation is what needs to solve things. So that's all I was going to say.
Alex, if you aren't going to say it, I'm going to, and I'll you can interrupt me or I can interrupt you. But are you going to say it? I don't even know if you know. That's what this podcast.
Oh, it's fighting ignorance. That's fighting the good fight, dude.
That's the whole reason we
fighting
made
the
this
good
podcast.
fight.
We got to have conversations. Me and Alex do it all the time, and weekly we're going to continue doing that. But we want more people, more points of view, and just something thrown in the mix every once in a while. I just feel like the lack. Go ahead, Alex. Go ahead.
I'll tell you the hardest part about doing what we're doing is when someone calls you out for something, calls me out for something, taking an honest look at it and hearing their side of view. Because my knee-jerk reaction is always like, you're just hating or whatever. Like, giving it an honest listen and thought to whenever someone tells me I'm wrong about anything. For some reason, we live in a society where you're not allowed to be wrong, or you're not allowed to have an opinion on something, or you're not allowed to not know something. And that was the real thing of this whole fighting ignorance that we do, is like, it's okay to not be informed on something. It's not okay to stay ill-informed whenever you're confronted with it.
Right. Or keep spreading it without
Right.
the information that's
You
vital.
have to be able to change your mind. You have to, when new information is presented to you, at that point, you have to be able to go, oh, well, maybe I was ignorant to this, and now I understand a little bit better. So that's the whole key.
A lot of people develop an opinion on something and they're not really informed on, and they'll fight on that opinion of something and not really know the ins and outs of what they're fighting for.
Right.
And they'll argue.
Oh yeah.
Day and night with.
Hey, and
Papa
listen,
told me that this is the way it is.
people that do that too, they're not like they're not proficient in conversation, so they'll just insult you as well. That's how that
Right.
goes. It's like a
It'll
paired
become
thing.
personal and not just based off your
Yep.
opinion on something or your outlook on a topic.
You're
It'll
questioning,
become personal, and they'll
their
take
intelligence
jabs
and
personally.
making them feel inferior.
Hey,
right now.
Alex, I was waiting on the knee-jerk statement. You just made the first one. You made the first one. I think we're like 2
I usually
hours
say
in.
knee-jerk about 20,000 times.
Yeah.
in each
We need to
podcast.
count
It
up.
only took 2 hours.
Hey
Yeah.
guys, can we do another animal versus animal?
Oh,
I got another animal.
Let's lighten the
I think we're
topic.
good for that.
Yeah, let me.
Hold on, before we do that, I feel like Austin and I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
Tanner.
T.O.
It's down
Tanner.
there.
Did y'all have anything to add on the subject? I'm sorry, y'all
Yeah,
cut in the
let's-
background.
Tanner, you've been silent for like an hour.
The whole time.
This ain't Discord, buddy. You gotta talk. Let's talk.
Well,
Your
because we
mustache
started out
can't do the
like
whole
we're going to give
talking,
everyone a
dude.
chance to talk, and then we're just talking over each other.
Yeah.
So
So
No,
they're being respectful. They're doing what they're supposed
I
to.
try to
They're not-
watch, and Alex is doing it too. But we're trying to watch for you guys if you like start, so we can be like, okay, let them say. I don't know. But Tanner's just been
No,
like,
I think that you all are all saying good stuff and having diverse like opinions. Like, there's not a lot of. I think there's the golden rule. Like you learn as a kid, treat others how you want to be treated, and
Right.
and if as long as you do that every single day and every minute, you're doing your part, in my opinion. If everyone in the world just did their part, there would be no problems. So
There's a big thing. You see something, say something.
Yeah,
Exactly.
We should have had Tanner talking a long time ago. This
Yeah.
dude's smart as fuck.
no, I don't know why he's been so quiet. I don't know.
no,
Oh, man, jump in.
It took him 20 seconds what it took us 2 hours to say.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I would say I enjoy listening to. I think I'm probably the youngest one in here. I just turned 22. I think I'm probably the
I'd
youngest
say.
one in here.
Yeah.
Younger than me.
Yeah, so I just like listening to the opinions that you all have and the experience that you all have, because I lived in Stanford and Lincoln County most of my life, but I just moved to Louisville to go to school here, and I just enjoy listening to your all's opinions on stuff.
Did you just
Hey,
offhandedly
thanks,
call us old?
Thanks, Tanner.
Yeah.
No, I know,
Appreciate it,
I know
Tanner.
you all have more experience than I do.
I'm kidding.
You all have
I
more
like the
experience than I do.
wisdom. The
That's
Yeah.
a pretty good segue into age fluidity,
Yo.
isn't it?
Yeah.
For a 22-year-old, this guy's got a lot of insight on
Yeah.
life. right
Well, I
now.
mean, you
Yeah.
see the mustache.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no.
it's pretty official.
I just say you can
What
see
do you
like,
got,
all four
Zohan?
pixels. You can see all 4 pixels.
Right,
of
you
the
guys,
personal
you guys have pretty much got it, between what we've all said. I mean, just don't be an asshole, basically.
That's
I
That's
mean,
the.
treat everybody equally, regardless of skin color or whatever. I mean,
If you look at somebody without hearing the first word of their mouth and you decide your perception of them just because of how they look, then you've already made yourself out to be an asshole.
It's a
And you've already
mistake.
got the wrong opinion about
Yeah,
somebody.
you've made a mistake.
If you've looked at somebody without hearing the first word of their fucking ideology or whatever the hell you want to call it about how they are as a person, and you've decided how you feel about them, then you're a fucking dumbass.
Yeah.
You're stupid.
That's a fact. I don't care.
You're
who,
stupid.
I don't care who we offend at that point. If you look at somebody and decide, hey, I'm not going to listen to them because of what they look like or who their skin pigmentation or whatever the case may be, their religion, you're an idiot. You're an idiot.
Facts.
You need
Straight facts.
Like
You
we can
need to-
predispose an opinion on people like that because they're just trash. And that's just how. it
100%. Yeah. No, there's no doubt about it, man. There's nothing good coming from that. You know what I'm saying? You're spewing negativity, and that's not what this world
Let
needs
me
right now.
let me interrupt y'all one more time. It'll be the last time, I swear. 'Cause I gotta go. All right, so y'all keep rolling.
No, this is your show.
Yeah, come
You
on.
can't
I gotta-
fucking go,
I got-
Batman.
I got
You can't
family
go.
that came in. I gotta go. Y'all keep talking.
Put him to sleep.
Tyler, promote us. We're gonna be your second. We're gonna be the new Alexes. Come on.
That ain't gonna happen.
I
That ain't
love
gonna
that
happen.
man too. Come on. All right, Alex, what do you gotta say? My bad.
God, I wanted to go through and be like, please don't talk about this or that because I want to get in on that, but I can't do that. So y'all talk about whatever. I gotta go. We should definitely do this again.
Yeah.
Thank everybody for coming and helping us fight the good fight.
Yes.
As always, to my listeners, if you have any information that goes against anything I've said, I want to see it. I want to hear it. I want to fight my own ignorance before I fight anyone else's. That's what I'm more about. So please, if you've got something you want me to see, I'll read it. I'll have a conversation about it. And y'all fight the good fight. I'm out of here.
Love you, Alex.
Also,
Yeah.
you got some comic
Yeah.
books on the low for anybody that wants to.
Alex,
get
what
in-
wonder?
No self-promoting.
Get in on that.
He dropped it before he dipped out. He said, Alex,
And
wonder.
bounced. And bounced.
That's funny.
Damn.
All right, so then
Well,
then there were
That's crazy.
6
He's
or
half the show.
5 or whatever you want to call
5.
it.
6. No, we're still 6.
Okay.
They were 6. Yeah.
But I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, brother.
Brandon.
Brandon.
Brandon, you're about to bounce, ain't you?
Yeah, I've got a
You
few
about
more
to leave
minutes.
too? Okay, okay.
Okay.
You don't have to go,
Okay,
dude. You
good.
can stay as long as you want to.
Hang out. We don't want you to
Get out of
leave.
there. All
Just
right.
because you're white doesn't mean you have to go.
Yeah, dude. Jesus Christ. Okay, listen. Let's like lighten this up a little bit, just a teeny bit.
Yeah, we've been
Animal versus
been
animal.
deep
Come
into
on,
it.
give me one.
Now listen.
I like the porcupine versus turtle.
I do too. That was great.
That was a good one.
Now look, I think Tanner may have been in there when we thought that one up, or maybe I thought it up in the Discord. We were talking about some stupid shit that we should talk about. But I've got a few other ones, but they aren't as good as that one. Okay, you ready?
Okay, let's hear it.
All right. I've got a few here, and I don't know which one to give you. Let's do this one. This may be a quick one. Turtle versus a porcupine.
I'm gonna think.
What kind of turtle? Snapping turtle? Or just a turtle?
Alligator snapping turtle?
I think we're. Should we do snapping turtle, or does that kind of just flop it?
If you put just a fucking regular turtle, then I think it's not really
The
fair.
porcupine's gonna win every time. But if you put a turtle that's got a little bite behind
A
it,
snapping
a
turtle?
little- something that could
I think he's
take
gonna
a
like.
chunk out your ass.
I think he's gonna take a limb or two, and then he's probably gonna dominate.
Okay.
But honest to God, man, like all a turtle's got to do is retreat back into its
That's
shell.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying. That's why.
Just
we-
wait it out. Just wait it out. Like
Right.
it doesn't. You don't even have to
Wait for the
pursue
porcupine to get
violence. You
bored.
can just wait. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be
God, I
midnight.
gotta
And that
piss.
porcupine.
Porcupine
right,
get
guys.
bored. Porcupine get bored,
Yeah,
go to
it's-
sleep, and the turtle come
it's
over
gonna
and
get
just
tired.
snap that neck.
That's all it takes. I feel like
See-
Turtle's gonna win that one.
See
Yeah.
that it
Just because
wasn't.
of the patience.
It wasn't a very.
He's got
good one.
150 something years to live, dude. Like a turtle is gonna live for fucking ever. So
True.
the porcupine's gonna die by the time he's like 23.
Right, he could just wait forever, and that would be a
Yeah.
pretty efficient way to win.
Spend 23 years of your life.
In your shell.
But
You
really,
ain't
though,
gonna
what-
snap.
the porcupine doesn't do anything though, except just that the pines are on his back,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. They're
So, I
both,
mean,
they're
really,
both
unless
defense
the turtle
animals.
unless the turtle jumps on his back, he's never even going to feel the prickles.
I mean, that's a good point. There's no way that a turtle or a porcupine, like, I don't think they could fight in the beginning. Dude, like, I don't really think that there would be a fight. Like, I think they would both just get bored and move on
It's
with
two
their lives.
defense
Yeah.
animals.
I ask about which one starves to death first. I feel like that's who wins.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so let's break it
Yeah.
down. Who you think? I'm gonna
I
say
think a porcupine.
porcupine.
starves to death.
Yes.
Porcupine will starve first. Turtle's gonna win.
There it
If
is.
Yeah.
nothing else, the turtle just swim to the middle of the water and the porcupine can't even get to him.
That's
So,
another
that's-
truth.
That's good. Yeah, that's another fact.
There
yeah,
it
That's
is.
a good point.
Now, see, I didn't know.
You're right.
I didn't know.
Do you all remember that show, Deadliest Warrior,
Yeah,
Spike TV, where they would basically do this,
but
they
with,
would pin,
Back when TV meant something.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
but they
They didn't break the point.
would pin like Genghis Khan.
Porcupine
Yeah.
versus turtle.
Who wins?
Hey,
It's
Genghis Khan. Speaking of,
Hey,
Dude,
Shut
don't
up,
you
there's
do
a
it!
lot of
I'll,
boys.
I'll ban you right now. I'll ban you.
No self
Don't mention it.
But hey,
Sorry. Anyway,
Y'all know a lot
Genghis
about
Khan.
Genghis Khan or something?
I'm not
Y'all
talking
know?
about Genghis Khan. I'm talking about Genghis Khan.
Oh, hey, listen. Let me ask you this: why did you all say that? That like, is that the way that you pronounce his name, and we've just been pronouncing it
No,
wrong?
that's how he. That's
That's
how
the way
he
to
did
say
it.
it.
It was Genghis.
That was the
Khan.
Persian translation. It
was-
was actually Chinggis Khan.
Yeah.
CH.
Our
Chinggis Khan.
Western accents put the
And
Genghis
then
on it.
through the Persian translation, it became Genghis.
Yeah.
And,
And
but
Genghis.
anyway,
Alex left. and
Episode
now,
6
now
on
I
the
can see
Slaughter Boy.
Tanner. I can see Tanner now.
And is my stuff fixed now? Finally.
I think I spoke
No.
too soon. All right.
Now
he said, "Don't you do it? I'll ban you right now."
right now.
I think Windows.
Hey, one thing about Genghis Khan, he was a murderous motherfucker.
Yeah.
That dude was the Tom Brady of raping and pillaging.
Oh, I thought y'all were talking about murdering that ass, because that's all I heard about.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
well,
clapped
he-
a lot,
he had
he clapped
thousands
a
of
lot of
children.
cheeks, man. He had thousands of children.
That's
Speaking of murder, at least 40 million people he killed.
40 mil.
what the fuck?
From
How many
Corona.
people are
That's
alive
from
back
Corona.
Like,
Yeah. How
Is
many?
that
He's a direct
That's a good
descendant.
question. That's a good question.
Yeah, he's
Is
a
that ever-
direct descendant to 16 million people
That's
right
hot.
now with an identical Y chromosome.
It's kind of hot.
It
It's
is.
kind of hot.
He busted a lot of nuts, man. It was-
He burst a lot of nerves.
Yeah, he burst.
I'm
clapped
sorry,
a lot of
Brandon.
cheeks.
Okay, all right. Listen. Let's kind of let's kind of get back in. I'm thinking, guys, and I don't like Tanner, Austin, Brandon. I know you're about to leave at some point. I think we're probably just gonna go for 3 hours, so probably just another 45 minutes. Is that cool with y'all? Y'all good with that?
I was
Fine with that, bro. It don't bother me at all.
All right.
I'll
I'm
probably
about to peace out,
split out
but
at like
I'll listen to what
5:30
you're
or
about to
so.
say.
Okay. All right. That's
Yeah,
cool, man.
5.
Yeah, if you all just
So
need
you got-
if y'all need to go, like people have been messaging me, people here have been messaging me like on Facebook, so I can if we're doing another one and you guys ever message me or something, you can do it that way or something. I don't know.
5:30, bro. That's only 5 minutes after 45 minutes.
You might as well just stay, bro.
You might as well just be here for the end of it, dude.
Only
come on.
5 minutes after 45
true.
minutes.
You got a bunch of drumming to do.
All right, gentlemen. It's been fun. So we're gonna get a lady on here to be not so sexy.
Yeah. I think
No!
next time we'll
No!
I think next time we will. I think next time we will. Like we were supposed to do this time, but she. Hey, what the fuck was that? What was that noise?
That was a chelada.
Who knows, bro?
Oh, okay.
Who knows?
It
No,
sounded
that's
like a
Chilada.
it sounded like a air compressor tank being like
Well, we're pumping tires up them.
It sounded like a
Okay.
bear.
all right. Okay, so here's something I want to ask you all about. And Brandon, I'm glad you're here for this one and I'm gonna make this one the one before you leave. It may make you stay here for 30 more minutes. You're looking like I can't, motherfucker. Okay, but listen.
My
Kentucky,
kids are outside right now.
they're alone. Kentucky's COVID response. It's a banger. This is a pretty banging one. Just what? I don't know if I should ask. What do you think about Bashir's job so far, or
Or you can go that way.
well, this kind of. I'll let you answer that. I want to hear from you because I know that you're about to leave. Everybody else, I don't
Yeah.
care about your opinion. I'm joking, but just like let him know he's about to leave.
I mean, so first off, this is early February/March. This, and I guess this goes more for the nation as a whole. We saw what was happening in China, and like everyone just figured out that, oh, it won't come here, and I think that's ridiculous.
Right.
Luckily, I wasn't like that. You weren't like that. You know, a couple of us started messaging each other, saying, "Hey, we're gonna get some supplies. We're gonna get prepared," and you know, yay for us. So get to March, and all of a sudden, there's one case, there's 8 cases, there's 43, all in like Oregon, and it's like Washington over there, like way far away. We're like, we're fine. We're in Kentucky. At that point, I feel like our government and some sort of emergency response team should have started like, hey, what's going on? What's the state of our medical supplies? What's the state of our, I guess, economy? What can we do to prepare for it? And they didn't. So that's bad. At the same time, what they did do was, okay, let's look at the data, see what's going to happen. The data was completely skewed, but that's not their fault because they just had the data that they were given. And so their response was, hey, let's declare a state of emergency and start, making some executive orders. And I was totally fine with everything for the first month. I mean, because you didn't know what you were working with.
Right.
So we get to April. We're kind of a month in. Stuff's been shut down for 2-3 weeks. I feel like at that point, we needed less executive orders and more, okay, we have video conferencing. We have the ability to vote on stuff. We need to get more people's opinion and stop making it a one-man show. Again, this is all my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Then we get into late April, early May, into June and July, and we're still closing stuff, shutting stuff down. And the numbers become questionable. And it's not just our numbers, because it's how are people tracking numbers?
Right.
What are the cases? What are the fatalities? How bad is this thing going to be? And we actually have some data at this point. I think we could have kind of, looking back, which hindsight's 2020, we could have fought it differently and fought it better.
Right.
I think the biggest failure we had was letting anything into the nursing homes
Yeah.
because, and I mean, this is my personal opinion again. I'll probably stop saying that, but so we gave stimulus check to everyone, $1,200, when we could have shut down the nursing homes and sent the money and food to them and let everybody else stay working because it wasn't affecting everyone else like it was the older, more vulnerable populations.
Right.
And instead, the prisons and the nursing homes is where it got the worst. So I feel like that's a complete and total failure of any sort of emergency response, and the response to this virus was letting it get to those places when we knew those were the vulnerable populations and we had time and money to deal with it. I mean, if nothing else, contactless delivery of food, quarantine or keep the workers there in 2-week shifts so that they're not going out to get groceries and then going into the nursing homes and bringing in whatever they had. I mean, there's ways to fix that.
Right.
That started with failure of the PPE having it, I guess, which again is a problem of people just didn't take this seriously early enough.
Right.
And I'm sure you all will get into does what PPE matters and when, because apparently,
As far
the
as
government
shutting down
the government changes
the
that.
nursing homes, what do you suggest is the opposite of that? Shutting down the nursing homes, do you
Well, no, I
suggest
don't-
that
I
they
don't-
go back to their families and let their families take care of them?
Oh,
or-
no. I would say so we locked down people, and I say people as in I still went to work, but most of the economy, like 70%,
Like an
we're
isolation kind of
we're
thing,
off
like you
work
just stay back in a
for
room.
Well,
for
hold on one second.
break.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Dylan, I don't think he was saying close down nursing homes. I think he was saying more lock them down. Like people shouldn't have
Yes.
been able to go in and out of them. I'm just
Correct.
saying. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Okay.
I thought that you
Okay.
misunderstood. All right.
Okay,
No.
yeah, I definitely did.
No, I meant
definitely
lock
did.
them down, as in do not let the virus in there, and there are ways to do that didn't obviously get followed.
Right.
With the correct PPE, you're not even supposed to touch patients anyway, without suiting up. And this is in general nursing home. Like, there's nurses and RNs in our family that I say our family because I'm related to Tyler,
Yeah.
but that told me
So
how
what
it's
kind
supposed
of
to be.
mandate do you make on the nurses who are working with these people in the nursing homes?
What kind
I
of
mean,
what?
I truly think the only way to keep the COVID virus out of there was to basically keep the nurses on site, to make that almost a self-run city. And I know it's
Like an
possible
island.
People did it.
because
People did
yeah,
it.
because people did it.
Mhm.
Yeah, people. I mean, I
But
work in utility.
doesn't that kind of
utility
seem
company.
like an obstruction of rights and like
Man,
the American
I'll tell you now, it's a
realm of
that's a very it would have to be like a voluntary thing, obviously, but
right?
Yeah.
that is the surefire way.
That's just yeah.
Well, I don't mean.
That's where you get a lot of
You can't just tell people to
resistance
do that.
against
You
people.
can't
Well, I
just be
mean,
like,
I
hey, you gotta
guess-
stay here for the next 3 months or however long it's going to take.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, you gotta.
Wipe
It's a
it off.
voluntary. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, Brandon got a phone call.
Oh shit.
But that seems like a
Jeopardy
resistance
music.
of like rights and
Yeah.
how,
To-
how,
hey,
how
to
you
tell-
can tell
to
people
tell
how
them
to
to
live
make-
their lives.
To make them
If
stay
you're not
there.
allowed to leave this nursing home because you've come into contact with this person who potentially was in contact with another person, so you got to stay here for
and you're at a higher risk.
2 weeks
so you
at
gotta-
least. You're at a higher risk. You can't go home because if you go home,
Hey,
you're
hold on.
potentially gonna like.
Let him spell this thought out. What are you saying, Brandon?
Okay.
'Cause I don't.
Sorry, Brandon.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So where we work, I work at a power company. We make electricity, and we have an emergency action plan in place. And we have done a couple steps. We didn't get to as bad as it could be, to where we were sequestering people at work. We had food ready to be catered in. We had laundry machines bought and purchased and put on site so that we could stay at work for 2 weeks. Because guess what? People can't not have electricity.
Right.
Like that's just part of it. And that's
Okay.
from our employer. And from our employer's standpoint, they could make us do that because, hey, they're our boss. So I don't see how that.
In other words, you got
nurses-
time away from your wife. Hell yeah, bro. Bring on the
I don't
COVID.
I don't see how nurses, looking at
Lucky.
this situation, couldn't be expected the same that I'm expected of,
Okay.
especially to save lives, and that's the whole point, right? I mean, I think that's a less restriction of rights than shutting down the entire country's economy because nobody could go to work when we really just needed to protect certain groups. And that's
The older
probably all I'll
elderly.
say
All right.
as far as the response. I
agree
think
with that.
I don't know that it,
But, hey, listen.
just because they make you have the restriction of your rights should be a reason to make other people having the restriction of their rights.
Well,
to-
I think here's the important thing is the difference in who this is coming from. So if the government itself is coming out and saying, hey, these people are required to work and stay on site, I think that's wrong.
Yeah.
I don't think the government should have the right to tell you that.
I think
If
Brandon.
you're-
I think
if
Brandon
you-
would agree with
if
that.
you're-
Restate
if
that,
you're-
Tanner, so you can hear.
Or I was saying it depends on who is giving you this ultimatum of you either come to work and you stay at work or you don't work here anymore. I think if the government is coming out and they're saying, hey, you have to, if you work in, I've had to work through the whole thing too. I work at UPS. Louisville has the biggest UPS hub in the world, or the biggest shipping facility in the world. I remember when all this started, we've worked more this past 6 months than we do during Christmas peak season. So I understand. But if the government comes in and requires you to do this, I think it's much different than your employer saying, hey, for the protection of our employees, the people that we're going to pay right now and keep hired are the people that are going to agree to.
But what if they make this ultimatum among their employees and no one decides to cohere with what's going on? Then all of a sudden, boom, you have nobody who's going to.
If everybody goes against it, where are you at then?
Then you have all these.
I think
but,
if you
uh,
open it up and you
you
ask,
all keep discussing.
all right. Hey, Brandon, you about to go? You gonna get off?
Yeah,
All right.
I've got 2 phone calls. That's
Hey,
it.
thanks,
All right,
Brandon.
man.
See you,
Yeah,
Good
Brandon.
talking to you, Brandon.
yeah, dude.
See,
And
man.
thanks for
Good
coming by, Brandon. Appreciate it, man. All right. He's
Oh,
done.
he bounced
He was
before you got
gone.
that
He's
out.
like,
Fuck you, man.
Thank you.
Fuck you,
Thanks,
dude.
man.
But if you make it like a governmental thing to where it's like a mandate and everyone bounces out of it and they're like, we're not going to like take here to your mandate. We're not going to
Right.
heed to these stipulations that you make us follow. If everyone bounces out and says, no, we're not going to do this because we're a free country or, based off of our constitution, then what kind of situation are you left in then?
Agreed.
I guess this is just like the way I look at it is you can come up with a situation to make any decision the wrong decision
True.
is how I look at it. So in my opinion, we were asked to I work a part-time job. I've been working like 45, 50 hours a week for
Part-time.
Part-time?
yeah, technically. I'm a part-time
Oh,
employee.
shit.
Damn, you're a full-time employee, bro.
Yeah.
Like 40 or 5 or 50 hours a week, that's full-time, bro.
Yeah.
I'm partially full-time.
Yeah. So but that's the thing is I work 40 hours normally anyways. I'm technically a supervisor, so we get asked to do shit that's stupid.
I don't think
But-
you're part-time anymore. I think you're full-time.
That's the governmental voluntary shit
40
you're talking
hours
about,
is
dude.
standard.
It's a joke among the supervisors, but I think that if you give people the opportunity to work and you tell them that this is what we need for our country, and you call on the patriotic feelings that a lot of American men that want to work have,
Okay.
I feel like you have no problem getting people to step up to the plate and sacrifice for the country. I feel like that would not be a problem.
That's very optimistic.
I feel like that can. I
And
feel
like
like
I
that could be used against you, though.
I agree with Tanner. I
Like,
agree.
no, I
with
feel
that.
like that could be used against you, but because like
can
we're
be.
not going to lay people off. We're going to keep you working. It's only going to be 24 hours a week. You're going to make $220 a week.
But it's for
But
the
if we laid,
patriotic.
it's patriotic.
It's
If we laid you
patriotic.
off, you're going to make $1,300 a week. But we're not going to do that because we're on the American side. We're going to keep working,
Yeah.
and we're going to pay you $240
Now
a week
look,
as opposed
look,
to
though.
making the $1,300 against.
Tell you
the-
right now, I'd rather be on the unemployment side, making 1,300.
Right, right.
No,
Man's not doing shit.
Yeah.
Awful.
But see, I think that's there's certain people that would rather work. Like I would make more if I was unemployment. I'd make $600 a week right now in unemployment. I'm working.
Would
I'm
you
making about-
would you rather take the unemployment or would you rather work?
Would you
the
rather? You would
25
rather?
hours a week?
Personally, I would rather work. I like feeling like I'm providing and earning.
Boo! You're wrong.
Fuck
dude.
that,
You're
dude.
wrong, bro.
I know that I'm in the.
He's only 22. He's only 22. He
Yeah.
doesn't-
And I
I'd
know
say
I'm
26, and then
Right.
we'll ask you that question again.
I know.
Bro,
Here's the
Like I
thing.
said,
Here's the thing, dude.
You're gonna work 24 hours and make $250,
I can sit at home
or
and
you're
play,
gonna sit at home and hang out on a computer like we're doing right now
play Red
for
Dead
fun
Redemption
as a
for
hobby
the next like
and
24
make
hours straight.
$1,300.
You're gonna make $1,300, bro.
You need to figure out the American fucking dream, dude,
Yeah.
because you've
Yeah.
got it mixed up right now.
I have a
Because you got to be asleep to believe it.
yeah.
Right.
I have a very specific view about economics. I mean, that's what I'm going to school for. So I have a very particular view on what I think people should get money for and what they shouldn't. And I disagree with a
Tanner
lot.
is smart as fuck.
I disagree with a lot of the. So I think the
Now,
reason.
listen, I don't agree with people getting all this money for doing nothing. I don't agree with it, but you got to learn how to manipulate the system
Yeah.
whenever you got an opportunity to do
So-
that.
Well, hey,
So me and
but we
Tyler
can't-
had
we can't just assume that everybody's a fucking giant piece of shit, though.
Like me?
No,
Like me?
Is that
Like
really being
me?
a giant piece of shit, or is that
Hey,
just
listen,
being a little
listen.
piece of your
There are
bag?
there are some people that probably and I'm probably saying you, Dylan, that probably really need a break. You know, I mean, I'm not joking. Some people.
I got 2 weeks, man. I got 2 weeks and I fucking loved it. I got to go back to work Monday, and you know what? I'd rather take another week off, but the 2 weeks is very much appreciated. So
Right.
to go back to work on Monday is a non-issue to me.
I'm that piece of shit you're talking about. I
No,
don't.
no.
Yeah, I would rather not work. Just make
No,
money.
I mean, of course, that all sounds great. But I mean, I feel like not everybody just wants to fucking do that. Ow, dude, my fucking
Yeah, and
ankle.
me and Tyler had a conversation about this, I think last weekend, where while I disagree with the principle of just handing out money to people without providing value to the economy,
Right.
the money itself has no value if you're not providing value to earn it.
Bro, I'm completely in agreement with you.
Yeah,
on that.
100%. Yeah, I agree.
But
But due
based
to-
on my opinion, there's nothing that I can change, and that's not going to change the amount of money that people are
Hey,
getting.
Get here,
from
talk
sitting
something
on
blue in the
their ass.
face, and yeah.
yeah, so
So
this-
let me play this system.
yeah, so but I think this is where things happened was prior the past 8 to 10 years, ever since the 2008 crash, we haven't actually recovered properly and had to have a strong, stable economy. Me and Tyler talked about this. The
Right,
American people
right.
have almost no savings,
Right.
and
Like,
That
let,
excludes-
hey, like, let me say, who the fuck just joined?
401k.
Oh
I'm
my
safe,
god.
dog.
Okay. What's
No.
yeah,
up?
yeah.
He's back.
He's back with a baby.
What up?
Let me ask you this,
Yeah.
Tanner. Do you think
What's
the
your-
reason why many people in America don't have savings is just because it's simply hard to save? I mean, you know,
I
we're
think
between rent and mortgage and bills and just
I think it's a disciplinary kind of thing.
Yeah.
They don't take it upon themselves to make sure that they have that cushion behind them upon
Hey,
their
and
retirement.
me and Tanner have said what we think, or what I know at least a point Tanner will make if he answers this. But Tanner answer what he asked, because there's one big vital.
yeah. All right. Personally, for me, I haven't made very good economic decisions. I'm in a good place right now, but if I don't keep making money, I'm screwed. I was, so a little bit of background. I was super poor growing up my whole life, just dirt poor. I had a single mom that was on drugs. I never had any kids. I got a very good job at UPS, and I made very good money for working a part-time job and going to school full-time. And I had the money to be able to lease a brand new 2019 Jeep in
Nice.
2018. And you know what? Spend $700 a month between the car payment and insurance and all that. And I can afford it right now. But if I stop making money, I can't afford it all of a sudden. I don't have a savings to
Right.
fall back on for a significant amount of time. That was a poor decision on my part. Now, if I had made, and if I, the problem is that people aren't taught young what real life as a grown up is like. With how that just because you have money doesn't mean that's how much money you have to spend every month.
People don't live within their means. They
Yes.
just
Yeah.
don't.
That's a
That's
fact.
That's a
They
fact.
don't. They
That's
live
all.
based on the paycheck that they make that week.
That's a fact.
Yes.
Check
what they
to
do.
check, bro.
People aren't
This
taught.
country is made off of pimps and whores. I'm telling you right now, there are people who are buying and there are people who are selling,
Yeah.
and that's what
Yes.
you got. Like, yeah.
I mean, kind of true.
And that is, people aren't taught that just because you make this much money a month doesn't mean you spend that much money a month.
Right.
And I wasn't taught that, and it wasn't until I got into school and after I made the decisions that I made that I learned that. So right now I'm having to live through the decisions I made, and then afterwards, when my lease is up in a year, I'm gonna make a much better decision on
Let me-
the car purchase.
But you're lucky to realize that thing at such a young age.
Let me
because
ask
the
you this
majority of
question.
people don't.
Let me ask you this question. As a 22-year-old person who has gone to school, done this stuff,
And has a sweet mustache.
yeah, definitely, and a sweet wine. Is it worth what could potentially be the student debt?
So that's one of the good financial decisions I made. Is UPS pays for 100% of my school.
Oh wow. Well, good for you then.
So you got a rich parent.
Like
You
really.
got a
Ba-
rich parent.
ba- I have a
UPS.
sugar daddy. I have a sugar
My
daddy.
daddy is UPS.
I have a sugar daddy.
Good.
So
Yeah. Hey man, ain't nothing wrong with that.
yeah,
Ain't nothing
I,
wrong with
I
that.
was a huge UK fan, so it took a lot for me to go to Louisville, go to UofL, but them paying for everything kind of made it. Good.
Sorry, bro. Dylan fucking cut one, bro.
Sorry
It's
about that.
awful over here. It's bad. It smells like
Oh,
steamed
man.
broccoli right now. But dude, good for you, man. I like to
Yeah,
hear those type of stories because normally you hear people who go for like this college degree and they just get fucking bent over the table and raped with like student loans for a job that probably doesn't even fucking exist anymore.
Yeah.
And like, so to hear you say that, you know what, like, I did what I did, and the money that is paying into me is going to pay off what I learned and everything else. That's good to hear. That really makes me excited for the the American economy and just humans in general.
It's good to see the young ones
Yeah,
fucking advance quickly.
I wasn't there, dude. Like
Yeah.
that was not me. I dropped out sophomore year of high school, and I've made nothing of my life since then. I hope this podcast takes off because.
Don't talk about our
Oh,
podcast.
sorry, I can't
Don't
promote.
talk about our podcast.
you.
Yeah.
I'll
The Toronto
ban
Boys
you.
live at 6 a.m. every
I'll,
Friday.
I'm gonna ban you. You're banned. It's over.
Man us, man. How much time we got left? 3 minutes? Cut us off.
All right, so Tyler, it sounds like the question is you're talking about money and savings. Is that what I jumped into?
Yeah.
Or yeah, we're talking about. I was trying to talk about, I guess, how we ended up in a position where we needed to give out people so much money when this happened,
Right.
and why we put ourselves in the position that we did. Because I think a lot of the decisions that we ended up making with how we quarantine and stuff were mainly economic decisions.
Be right back.
And I think understanding how we got to that point economically can help us understand a solution to the problem in the long run. Because I can't remember where I heard this, but people are too focused about fixing the thing that has already happened and not enough time worrying about what is going to happen.
Right.
So we're already dealing with this coronavirus stuff. We've already made the decisions that we have. It's good to look back and realize, hey, we could have done this better, but we have to make sure that it's in the context of how do we avoid it in the future.
Right.
So understanding how we got to the position that we were at, then is just as important as analyzing the decisions we made once we were in that position.
Brandon and I have. It's not like we have a lot of things about COVID that we disagree with, but I know that Brandon at least sees a lot of the things that me and my family discuss that we disagree with about COVID. But what Tanner's saying right there, that's what matters to me. Now look, I'm going to be frank and I'm going to be honest. Our numbers are never going to be as bad as they were at the beginning of this. They're never going to be as bad. We've got the response under control now, I think. I really do think so.
Absolutely.
I don't think our hospitals will see the stress that we thought they might. I don't, this, that. All the things that we thought were going to happen aren't. Andy Bashir shuts this shit down again, and I'm not with it. I'm not at all. Because look, did he need to in the first place? Maybe not, but he did. Guess what he didn't do also? Call on Walmart. Call on others to do the same thing. There's a lot of things that he didn't do that I'm not holding him accountable for quite yet, because this is the most new thing ever. It's the most new thing. You want to talk about politics
You're gonna get stuff wrong.
Right.
I mean, that's
you
part of it.
You want to talk about politics being a thing where you make a decision and no one's ever happy about that decision. Throw a pandemic in it, and then you get experts popping up everywhere. Like, in the past 3 months, I've learned a lot about epidemiology that Karen probably just pretends that she knows by sharing a bunch of random shit, like the COVID video the other day.
I can't remember.
What? Or Walden?
Karen or Walden? Which
Yeah,
one?
I don't know. One of the two. I think Walden might be the male name if you wanted to use the male word for it. I don't know. But, like, the response and what happens from here forward is what I am, like, drilling my eyes on. And there's no excuses this time. There's none. People were like, yeah, man, I'm not. He just wants us to conform. No, he didn't. He doesn't want to have this as his bad thing. Every governor that we've had so far for the past 10 years, 20 years has had a bad thing. He doesn't want this to be his, trust me. So I'm sure he's going to try to do the best he can. But if he does shit, if it's a repeat, I'm not with it.
Let me throw some stuff in on how we got here financially then, and how to, like you said, not let it happen in the future. So, I mean, obviously, the hard thing to tell people is that your finances is your personal responsibility. And people don't like that because they want the government to take care of them. But
I'm interjecting. I'm just gonna throw this in and let you go. I feel like they just don't want to fail. They don't like being told that maybe you'll fail. Like, it's not even like somebody better have me as a safety net. I just feel like people aren't like you're the one accountable for your money. No one else is. I just feel like that sense of accountability people don't like.
Nobody likes a finger pointed in their face,
right?
Saying, hey,
and
you're
obviously
gonna be the one
obviously
it's
too,
your
it's the
fault that this
government
happened.
thing too. But yeah, you're right. Go ahead, Brandon.
So what I was going to go with that is, like, us six on here, we can take responsibility for the next 6 months of our life. And when we get the check in the mail, not just go buy a new TV, not to go buy a jet ski, like
with these stimulus checks, don't blow them. They're for one thing.
Yeah.
Like, realize that, like, every dollar of that could be money, food, ammo for the next 6 months to live on. Because do I think it's going to get bad again? I don't know. I don't know the future. Mm-hmm. Do I think something bad is going to happen? Like, there will be consequences to this? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we haven't even seen it yet, and I know we haven't got there, but we're also at war with China, and nobody seems to know. So that's a whole nother story. But what it matters is you have to be responsible for your money. And
let me ask you a question, Brandon.
Yeah.
Real quick. So, I mean, I definitely agree with you in that, but so I work as a garbage man, so I'm in lower income neighborhoods driving around picking up their garbage. And around the time that stimulus check hit, those lower income neighborhoods were full of, thrown out couches and mattresses and TVs because they were buying it. So how can you, I guess, how can you
dictate
or just like show these people that are pissing their money away, basically, how can you show them how, the right way to save and, just to handle their money?
I think it has to be
Dave Ramsey.
Hey, hold on, Brandon. If you got some, I think you might be frozen. Lol. Okay, Tanner, go ahead.
All right. I think it has to be taught in school early, and then you have to be, like I just said, the amount of money that you have in your bank account is not how much money you have to spend.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing that people need to understand. And then also look at all the celebrities that finance in all the music and TV and stuff. They all flash their nice things and brag about all the stuff they have. And those are the people that we idolize and want to be like. And you look at a lot of, there's a rapper, I don't know how many of you are into rap, they named 21 Savage. And ironically enough, he's super into financial literacy, and he's taking a lot of the money that he's gotten from his rap career and he's putting it back into the communities that he came from to teach.
Did you know he's British?
Yes.
He's British?
Yes. Yeah, he was born in Britain.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he
I
grew
didn't
up.
know that.
He came here and when he was like 6.
21 Savage is the guy that has the cross tattooed upside down on his.
Or it's a knife.
Right?
It's a knife technically, but yeah, it's upside down.
It's a knife. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Get
yeah,
right,
and
bro.
he's taking the money that he's earned and he's putting it towards teaching people financial literacy from his the areas that he came from. I think that's what a lot of it is going to take is that these people that have made it out of those poor situations, going back to those communities and teaching people what they learned. And a lot of it is like real estate people that have made it big need to go into communities and teach people about financial literacy.
Hey,
pretty
sorry
impressive.
about that, Austin. You were asking a question.
You're good, Brandon. Just about how we can help people, know how to basically handle their money. People that live in lower income communities.
Well, I
You know-
can give you what I learned handling money, and this is from my parents.
I thank the Lord that my parents and my wife's parents both taught us independently how to handle money. The number one key that I believe on how to handle money is to not spend more than your means.
So that means
Right.
if you need to buy secondhand clothes,
Buy secondhand clothes. If you need
Yeah.
3 generations old iPhone, buy the 3 generations old iPhone. The problem is when you're like, I have to have the newest, latest, greatest thing.
Mhm.
I could go out right now, and I'm not going to pick on Tanner because he just talked about buying a new car, but I could go buy a new car. But when I bought my car, I bought a 4-year-old car because they're used but not too used, and it got me from point A to point B.
It's an economical decision, bro. Like, that is super smart of you to do. Like, that is a move that you need to make, that a lot of people need to make right now in the economy and the way that it is to live within their means. Don't go out and try to ball out on people just to impress people.
Yeah.
Or for
you don't
any
even
other
care
reason.
about-
For any other reason.
Yeah, whatever reason either. But for the most part, I feel like the reason people go out and ball out on people is to impress other
For
people.
Trying to keep up with other people and trying to keep
Keeping up
their
with the limelight. And at the same time, dude, that shit doesn't matter. Like, I don't ever look at nobody and go like, oh, dude, this guy's out here balling because he's got this. I don't give a fuck, dude.
And
Like,
me
most
and
people-
Dylan have had this conversation. Like a lot of people, I feel like just a lot of people think like that too. Like they genuinely feel like if they aren't displaying their accolades as much as everyone else,
at the
then-
top of the list. If you're not at the top of the list, your ass ain't worth nothing.
Right.
And that's a terrible way to be, dude. Dude, get you a car. Get you a 2004 fucking Corolla that works perfectly and runs perfectly, and you only had to pay $1,600 for it, and run that bitch till the wheels fall off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the way to go. Like, don't make stupid decisions with your money be based on other people and what they think of you.
Right.
That's a dumb way to go.
Tanner and I had a thought of, are you really okay? So the question is, are you really middle class? Like, I don't know if you guys if everybody here considers himself middle class, but if you do, think
Lower.
and everybody else needs to think. Everybody needs to think like this and just think about this. But if you consider yourself middle class and you remove one paycheck, do you still feel like you're middle class, or are you scrambling?
No.
Or are you fucked?
No, I'm scrambling. I'm hurting.
Right.
I am hurting, dude. Like, at that
What?
point,
What,
like,
Brandon?
I need bills covered. I need bills covered at that point.
I said it
need people
depends
to
on
help
whose paycheck.
True.
Unfortunately, my wife was still in school when we got married, so we were living off my paycheck and putting her through master's classes. So I mean, we can live on one paycheck, and thankfully through this we didn't have to, and we're super blessed for it. I'll never say anything more than that. I am just absolutely blessed. But part of that is because I learned how to save money at such a young age, and this kind of goes back to Austin's question on the lower class or the people that's in poverty living paycheck to paycheck. All I can say is drop your expenses. Like, if you don't need Netflix, if you can go without, like, I know it's hard, but I can screw an antenna into the back of my TV and put it on my roof for like $20 and get 7 channels.
Or just buy a Fire Stick and jailbreak it, and then you get all the shit for free.
Or do that. But like, the only way to save money is
just read
cut
a
your
book.
costs.
Good point.
Like, you just
read a book, man. Like, you don't need the TV. Let your imagination take over. That's probably gonna help you more than fucking TV ever would.
I like
So.
books. I read books.
Right.
No problem.
Hey, but you know what?
I like books.
Society though is screwed
There's the
because I don't think that unless it starts young and we start it in our schools, I feel like there's no real way to really start tackling that aspect of the economics of the world in like 30 years or something, 20 years.
Yeah, like I said, we're a country of pimps and whores, dude. Like, it's we're selling or you're buying. It's one or the other. You're not gonna get away with it. Like, you have to be able to go, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need this super smartphone. I don't need this super smart laptop. I don't need all this shit. Like, life has gone on for millions of years without, or maybe not millions, but thousands of years without this happening. You know what I'm saying? I don't need Wi-Fi. I don't need all that stuff to connect to the world. And that's a big part that a lot of people have to realize is, like, it's not as important as we think it is.
Definitely
we think
not.
it's super important.
We got to keep up with it, or
It's
we're
not.
missing out or something.
I think a lot of the problem that we have with finding solutions to these problems like this, like on a societal wide basis, is that we want to fix everything now.
Right.
And we don't have the patience as a society to say, hey, we're going to implement things into economic principles into our nation today, and we're not going to get paid off on those decisions for 40 or 50 years. But in 40 or 50 years,
So 10, 20, 30 years from now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We can't wait for that. We are so used to everything being on demand at our fingertips at all times, constantly touching it and being like, boom, there it is. That's what I needed. And we as a people have suffered from that. It's made us dumber.
Yep.
It hasn't made us any better. It has
Instant
made
gratification,
us much
or we're not reacting
Yeah.
to it. That's
and you know what the thing is I don't ever learn anything from it. I might be able to look something up on the spot immediately for you, and it never helps me in the long run. 5 years later, somebody might ask me about something that I looked up, and I'll never know what the fuck it is unless I just learned it from there. It's I don't know. We're fucking ourselves up. We're making ourselves stupid by having these smart things around us. These things that we call
Smart things
smart.
make us dumb.
Smartphones, smart
Yeah.
tablets, and smart
Too many
computers
things that
are making us
that do
dumber.
the job for us,
100%
so that we don't have to think about it. And
Yeah.
well, it's
We're
instant
just
gratification again. That
Once
that
again,
goes around everywhere. It's like you got to have the thing
Well-
that'll make you be able to get to something faster or first.
Yeah.
Or
I beat you there by 0.2% seconds.
Right,
You know what I'm
hey.
saying? Like, I beat you.
you
at
know
that.
what's equally as good? I'm with you there. Like I'm
Yeah.
there too. Like they want the,
Mhm.
they gotta somebody buys like a fucking Munchkin doll. You remember those stupid things that were in the eggs that everybody was freaking out like 2 Christmases ago or whatever? Hatchimals.
Yeah.
That's what they were. Everybody had to post a picture, like just stuff like that is what I mean. Like, just got to do it. Everybody else is doing it, so got to go purchase the $60 egg.
Yeah,
that
so say, wasn't it like
hatches.
$40-something?
Yeah.
for like
fucking
the basic-
chocolate egg
Yeah.
to make you.
It's like just a big egg that you just let sit in a
Yeah.
corner and it hatches finally, and you pull a stuffed
what?
animal out of it.
Just to tell people, hey, I got one.
Yeah.
Hey, I made one.
About it.
I got one. I bought
That's a
one.
fact. That's all
Bam!
it
I
is.
bought one before
That's
you
all-
did. I
that's
win.
all. That's all it really is.
That's dumb, dude. Fuck that.
Well, I
shit.
mean,
You shouldn't
here's
be
the thing.
subjective.
Parker's going to have every single toy that he ever wants or imagines or needs because we can provide for him. But he's also going to learn to save his own money. Like, he's going to learn the value of money. And
Right.
that's something that we, as the 6 in this room or 5 or whatever, have to start with our children, at least getting them out of the poverty boat. We
Right.
can't fix everyone else, and the only way to fix everyone else, I think we've kind of talked about,
But
is
it's-
fix schools.
Yeah.
Is that
So
is
that
that really going to be the reality? Is
Real
that
life
really going to be the
skills? No,
reality
there's-
where
there's always gonna
he
be-
wants something
Hold on.
where-
Hold on. Let Brandon
Sorry.
finish what he's saying, and then Dylan, I want you to
Right,
say
right.
what you're saying.
No, you're fine.
I think.
I was just saying the only way to fix large areas of people, is to fix the school systems where they actually teach real life skills and or the value of money and or how to do crap on your own. But we're not there. The government's in control of the schools, and the government
Right.
wants you depending on them. So that's an issue that we have to vote and fix.
Yeah.
That's not an issue that we can just teach, you know.
Yeah.
So that's all I was going to say, is that we have control over us, our family, our children, and as long as we teach them how to manage money in such a way that, you know, you might want a $1,000 iPhone now. I think that's how much they cost. Well, guess what?
More.
Save your money and buy it straight up. You know, this monthly payment nonsense. I've got it's actually our next door neighbor. He bought a 2019 Mustang, brand new, and I asked him how much it cost, and he said, $450 a month.
Right.
And I said, how much does it cost?
Right.
He's like, I don't know. It's this much per this many years.
Right. Damn.
And I'm like, so
He's
your sticker
Fuck
price,
himself. Yeah. He
your
fucked
sticker
himself.
price is $25,000, and he ended up paying $39,000 if he paid it off in the amount of years that it said it was.
Right.
I was like, you're paying $39,000 for that car, and he traded it in, got something a little better. That's all good and well, but like
He
he
listened
had
to
no
you. That's
value,
good.
no idea of the concept of money and what it costs.
Right.
Okay, so whenever it comes to your child, though, is it going to come to the same circumstances? Like, okay, so my son likes Fortnite, and every 2 or 3 months it's $25 to do the seasonal pass. Now, whenever your son comes to you and says, "Daddy, I want this $25," and then you pay for the seasonal pass, and because your son wants it and he loves this thing, are you going to pay that seasonal pass? Are you going to pay that? And then whenever the seasonal pass comes out that you've already paid for, they've got these other skins and these other dances and these other things that you can pay extra for to get. Are you going to deny your son of that because based off of his merit, or based off of how good he's done, or based off of the things that you want him to do? Like, you want your son to learn to clean up after his room. Okay, so say he cleans his room. If he cleans his room, then you're going to give him money to buy V-Bucks. This is just based off of my personal experience because my son loves the Fortnite. Whenever he gets money, it goes to V-Bucks.
That sounds like the way it's supposed to work, right? So if he gets money for his birthday because somebody didn't know what to get him, say, well, it's your money, you can spend it on what you want, right? So you spend it on V-Bucks.
Right.
Say you went
Just gotta-
mode, you went, and I mean, it depends on what age they are, right? So I mean, my son
You
can't
gotta
go
teach
clean
him
his
the
room right now.
value of money is what he's trying to say. Is like saying that, like, okay, yeah, it doesn't just come freely. You know what I'm saying? Like, it
But
don't
that comes-
it doesn't get
that
handed
comes
out
with
to
the
you.
age
You have to work for
discretion
it.
thing.
Right. Bye.
Everybody still here? Yeah. Okay.
They dipped. I don't know. They just.
But yeah, so like, I mean, oh, they're coming back.
Here we are. Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay, sorry about
Okay.
that.
Imagine that it is like an age discretion kind of thing. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
he can't
doesn't
mow the
under-
yard, but he can pick up his room kind of thing.
yeah.
But you got to reward him for that. You got to
You're gonna
reward him.
him, but you're gonna reward your son for cleaning his room every time.
No.
Now
Not
look,
every
look,
time.
look though. I mean, cleaning. This is a decent thing to break apart. Cleaning your room, I feel like, is just something you should do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't get rewarded for that. That's
Right.
just life.
So
Man,
like,
you're
you know,
gonna have to clean up
you
around
go
you.
out and you help me like pick it. Like it's my grandpa. My grandpa would always like pay us if we went out and picked up sticks before he mowed or something. He'd give us $5.
But this is kind of like a
Stuff like
daddy's
that.
money kind of thing, because when you see your son do something that you want him to do, you always want to reward him, but you don't want to over reward him, right?
Right.
No, you don't want to spoil them. You don't
Right.
want it to be to the point where they're like thinking that I
How
can
do you
less work
decipher?
for more
How do
money.
you decipher the fine line between rewarding your son and over rewarding your son.
First thing you got to do is let you realize that this Fortnite shit real.
It's garbage.
Has nothing to
Fortnite's
do.
dead.
Has
It's
nothing
done.
to do.
Hey,
with real
look,
life.
you need
like,
to.
This shit has nothing to
You
do
need to
with
take your kid aside. And you need to look at him in the face, and you need to say, "Look, Fortnite's dead. We're gonna start playing a man's game, and you need to get him some Call of Duty."
4 years. Yeah.
So, I mean,
in 4 years, Fortnite ain't gonna be shit. So you.
What I'm trying to get at is like how do
Really
you
save your
decipher
money for the
between
next fucking
rewarding
venture.
your child too much from doing like a basic civil like something that you should do, such
Well,
as like,
right, like
cleaning your house or
cleaning your
taking
room.
care of your clothes being clean or making sure that you have something to eat,
Tell you how
as
my
opposed
parents
to
did
being
it.
rewarded for something like
They beat my ass. They beat my ass.
Yeah.
I did not do what I needed to do. They beat my ass.
yeah, they beat your ass in the
Period.
game. But
That
like,
was it,
You
in
gotta
the game.
reward. It's not based off a reward system.
Beat your
If
children.
you clean your house and you feed yourself, and then there's no rewards behind that. Then you
No,
gotta
I'm all
gotta get
for
the
like taking care of yourself, but the moment you slip, that needs to be that repercussion. Letting them know that life is gonna fucking
how
happen.
do you define the barrier?
Listen,
between
4-year-old,
getting reward
life's a
and what-
bitch. You just gotta tell
It
your
is, it
4-year-old
sucks.
life's a bitch.
Life
You're
sucks,
right.
dude.
So-
There's
You're
no
right.
way around it. Like it's gonna
I'm out.
fucking
We
suck.
got
Hey,
time out.
Yeah, let Brandon say something.
So for one, I'm a new parent, right? So I can't solve all parenting problems, and everybody's going to think differently, especially on spanking, allowance, rewarding, that kind of stuff. Also, personally, I've spent an untold amount of money on video games. I love video games.
Yeah.
That being
Brandon's a
said,
fellow nerd.
I understood that was my money that I couldn't spend going to the movies, that I couldn't spend having a big party and inviting all my friends over. Like, I was taking my entertainment money and putting it on video games. So, I mean, as long as your child, and by the time you can explain money to them, I mean, it's not a hard concept to start explaining, because there's work, and then there's things that they're expected, right? So that's something
Cleaning your
else.
room,
Work and
stuff.
reward.
As far
Yeah.
as work
It works out.
and
Yeah.
getting
Working.
paid, like that's the rest of their life. They better start learning at
Right.
some point.
Right.
So
Right.
if they come out and help me wash the car,
Right.
he might just be playing in water, but like he's out there with me, then okay, you get $5 or whatever it is. I mean, we're not gonna have cash in a little while, so it's not gonna matter. But
Think so.
like,
Ooh,
No, I don't-
another
I don't
topic.
Boom.
yeah. Oh, we're
Hey,
trying
let's
to-
talk about it. Let's talk
Hey.
about it. Agenda
Hey,
20.
guys.
Thank you for that
Hey,
explanation.
let Austin
That-
say what he's gonna. He's probably gonna leave. You gotta go.
I'm gonna
Austin.
no, yeah, I'm gonna dip out.
All right, Austin.
So-
All right, brother.
Hey, I appreciate you
Hey.
coming, man. Thanks. And next time,
Yeah, dude, no problem.
you're welcome to come next time too. So I'll let you know when
This
it's up
This
and all
is
that.
cool.
All right,
This
man.
is fun.
Dude,
Yeah, it's awesome. I appreciate
Austin, you raised a lot of great questions.
Yeah,
bro.
you did.
Like,
You had
you really
good
like
questions.
brought a lot of good information to the table. So
All right,
that was a good
See you,
point.
Austin.
see you guys later.
Appreciate
See
you,
you,
man.
man.
See you.
See you,
Later,
man.
brother.
Take it easy.
Dude.
But no, back to you. I appreciate the way that you explain it to you. Like, that's a good way for me to present it to my son. Like, there are things that you need to do regardless, and there's things that you need to do that maybe present a reward. And
Right.
yeah, that's a way that I hadn't thought of it, and kind of opened my mind to how to handle the situation with my own son.
Right. I mean, growing up, I personally, by the time I was 12 years old, I was reffing soccer games because I enjoyed soccer. I played soccer, and then I could get paid to watch people play soccer. Like, absolutely. I ref soccer and I also mowed yards. Both of those things were income to me as a 12, 13, 14-year-old that I had to tithe from, that I had to save a portion of. And this was all due to my parents. So, like I said, I'm absolutely blessed in the fact that they taught me how to manage money. And
Well,
because of that, we have more than we need. We have savings, we have 401ks, we have play money in stocks, and I mean, we're blessed. Okay, but that isn't because I made poor choices. I was the last one to get the newest, greatest, latest video game. Heck, my first video game console was a Dreamcast when everybody else had Xboxes.
Dude, I remember that. I remember when you got your Dreamcast. You got it for like Christmas even too.
Yeah, it was a big gift. Like, and it was 10 years old at the time. Like, my parents were not up on the times, I guess, and I never had the latest and greatest. I didn't have texting on my phone. I didn't have a cell phone until high school, and I didn't have texting until junior year. So, like,
that kind of creates that drive, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that kind of creates that drive to like be better.
It's like someday,
like,
someday
you know what?
I'll be able to do
want
that for myself, and I'll be able to have that.
I'll be able to do that for myself and my kids and my kids' kids. Like I'm gonna flaunt on y'all.
But that is that a vicious cycle? Maybe you have that for yourself, but then you have a child, and
I
then
don't
you
know
want to
how
over-provide
vicious
for
it
that
is.
child.
I don't know how vicious it is, but it's a cycle.
Because I feel like that's probably where I'm headed. Because in my youth, I never had those things.
Right, we didn't have shit.
And whenever I had a kid, it's like he's never going to have to
worry about
whether he has the latest and greatest. And maybe that's a vicious cycle
Well,
to where he'll have to.
it's not
learn
that. It's just the fact that you can provide the latest and greatest if he works
Right.
for it. It's like, you know, you got to where you would have liked to have been as a child, because you like the idea and the thought of like working for something, especially even when you're a kid. You know, that sounds like a good thing to do. It's what I like to instill in my kids. But now you just have the ability to provide that. And you've even said something to me about that, like if you're a kid, if somebody was like, oh, that's your daddy's money, then you're going to tell your kid to tell them to be like, damn straight, that's daddy's money, because daddy's got the money.
Right.
And I feel that, and
Daddy work hard.
And even with that, that's totally understandable, and it's like duh. I mean, hell yeah, I'm with that. But you better teach the kid, and I'm not talking about you, Dylan, saying anybody that does this. You better teach that kid some humility too, like some value in the fact that he either worked or he helped contribute to earn that, not just I get this and it's my, because then that's where I'll see why kids would make fun of my kid.
That's where the parenting aspect comes into play. Like, you can't just let your kid know that they can have it when they want it. It's got to be earned, kind of stuff.
Right. It's an entitlement thing. That's an issue. Is if they think they're entitled to it versus they get to have it. That's two different mindsets for the same result.
Right. It's very true.
So I think a lot of it too is kind of counterintuitively is minimum wage laws. Kind of price young people out of the job market.
Okay. I mean, all right. What do you mean? Applying that to like their personal worth? Like you think that may feel
or no? So like Brandon said that at 12 or 13 he was reffing soccer games and like helping mow lawns and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome that he had those opportunities where he lived.
Right.
Not everyone, like if you live in a big city, you may not have, like in New York or something, what lawns are you going to go mow, you know? Like what kind of like little things like that can kids and teenagers do to make money and start earning their own money? Because as soon as you start earning money is when you realize the value of money.
Right.
Like whenever I make a purchase, I don't think about how much it costs. I think about how many hours of work is this.
Right.
If it's something is, $100, I'm like, okay, that's 5 hours of work to get that thing.
And that's a good way to look at it too.
And that's how you realize the value of money. And with minimum wage laws right now, all they're hurting are low skill young people, mainly. And this would help alleviate a lot of the poor neighborhoods that Austin is talking about. And the fact that most of these are low skill people. Not nothing against them. It's just they haven't been taught skills,
right?
Whether it's in school or whatever. And so they can only provide so much value at a job, and if that value is less than what the minimum wage is, it's illegal for them to work pretty much, because the company's not going to hire you at a loss.
Right.
A good company's not. And so if we got rid or drastically changed the minimum wage laws, and we could let 16, 17-year-olds work for $4 or $5 an hour, they could start to earn money and they could start to gain skills earlier in life. So as they go through school, get into college, get a job, you hear people complain about, oh, all these entry level jobs all have, requirement of X amount of years of doing this or doing that or whatever. It's like, how am I supposed to get experience if I
Tanner,
can't get a job?
what do you think about, and this goes with what you're saying, what do you think about, like, I don't necessarily know fully what they do, okay? So I may be, like, speaking out of line on this. And Presley Todd's in here. I don't know if you know anything about this, Presley, but if you do, tell me. Also, real quick, Dylan, Christopher Todd, Alexander Cook said, Dylan, wake up, LMAO, lol.
I'm wide awake, bro.
Smack
I'm
yourself,
good.
Dylan. One good time for us. Okay, that's a few. Like half a year, 6 months, something. A year, maybe. 6 months in the Job Corps. I don't know even what the Job Corps does, so maybe I'm just telling people to go to like a human trafficking organization. Who knows?
That's not cool.
No, it's not
I
cool.
don't really know anything about the Job Corps.
I know what they do is that
Speak on it. Speak on it, Posh.
Okay, well, I have a friend who went to Job Corps,
okay.
and he honest to God, it was a really good opportunity for him, and he flunked up. He fucked up. He smoked weed, and he did his thing, and they drug tested him, and he lost his opportunity to Job Corps. But I feel like Job Corps is a good opportunity for people.
You have
If
info
you're
on it, like
somebody who doesn't
tell-
have the accolades to go to college, if you don't have the accolades to go to college, or you don't have the tuition to make it into some nice school,
Yeah.
Job Corps is a good spot for you.
Yeah.
Job Corps will do things.
Yeah, we
for
need
you.
to do
I don't
technical
feel-
schools as well.
and it's
Like,
kind of
I
like a technical
Exactly.
school,
Or
kind of,
plumber,
but it's like,
trades and
Yeah.
yeah,
that kind of stuff is important.
yeah.
And like it's in a high demand right now. Like those schools and stuff like that are in high demand.
Yeah.
Like you can't sit here and say that electricians and HVAC people and stuff like that aren't needed, because they are 100%.
And you know
needed.
what,
And it-
dude? I hate hearing that fucking shit. I hate hearing when people that work in STEM fields are like, you need to go to college because without that you're worthless. And then I hate on the other side of it, the blue collar side of everything, going, you got to put on your boots or you ain't contributing to society.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps,
Yeah,
boy.
we both sides contribute. I've argued with that about people like on my Facebook. Brandon's probably like, shut up, dude. But I hate seeing that. That's just another set of division that doesn't even need to exist. It's just stupid. Like, what, you work harder? Who gives a fuck? I mean, like, that's stupid. And what, you know how to work, you know how to program a remote? That's stupid. Who cares? Like, great job.
do what you need to do to make your life easier.
Right.
Do what you got to do to make your life easier.
Those
like, don't sit
people
here and just
work-
be like,
Those people that work on both sides of that in harmony make great things. So, like, just shut the fuck up and just
100%.
get it together and quit.
Yeah, do your
trying to
thing.
quit
What you
trying
want to do?
divide it. Okay, listen.
I would say I'm
we're-
an
You're a what?
I'm an electrician by trade. If I had to put a pinpoint on anything that I could do 100%, it would be electricity. Like, I would be
And
able to
knowing-
run wires in your house, get your lights hooked up, stuff like that. It's a great job, dude. It's
It
always
is.
going to be in demand.
Yes.
It's always going to be something that people need.
And what's
So, like-
what's funny is because of STEM fields, it'll be more in demand. Just because
Exactly.
now you got to wire up a smart, like a whole smart setup for new people's house, like people's new houses. Is what I'm gonna say. Shit like that. I don't know. I hate that.
You have to
separation.
grow. You have to grow with the field. You can't just sit here and be like, oh, I learned all this and that's it, And I feel like that's what a lot of college kids go through nowadays. It's like they get into a system that
Nice
might
hat,
be
Brandon.
great when you hear about it and you think about it and you're like, oh yeah, well this will be a field that I could get into and do something.
Well, I don't think they
But by
think
the
about
time
what
you
they
get
like. I think they think about how much money they can make.
Exactly.
Off
Well,
of
that's
it.
what most people think about is
Well,
how much
okay.
money can I make? How much, how much.
Alex
of a
Alex and I were talking
impact.
about this the other night too. Like a lot of the people that go into healthcare, I think that they do it more so for the money than because they care
Wanna
about
save
people. Yeah.
Another thing that you have to worry about now, like now that the things that are coming into light is like people that are getting into these fields for the wrong reason.
That's what I was just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So
I'll
like-
miss that
so
one a
like-
little bit there.
What we were talking about is we were talking about a woman and I don't want to say who it was. It's not like we know them, but they're like in the news right now. But there was a woman that in her personal life has shown signs of like anti-Semitism, so she's kind of like racist against Jewish people. She believes that that's in some way, shape, or form. I don't think she applies it to like her doctor, her medicine, her practice, but she thinks that a potential side effect for having sex with demons in your dreams is that you'll get cysts on your ovaries. Now, I'm giving that because I want to discredit her further, but
So hold on, let me reiterate: if you have sex with demonic figures, you will get an STD.
Yes.
Basically what you're saying.
Or a cyst on your ovary. Men and women that are married. This is her philosophy. Okay, men and women that are married cheat all the time. They cheat in their dreams. They relieve themselves from their physical body. They float upward and they have sex with demons. And demon sperm can cause ovarian cysts. Demon sperm that you engage with while astrally having sex with the demon.
No, she sounds like
an astrological. That sounds fucking crazy.
Sounds like a vital source.
Now, okay, so to separate the things, would you want someone like that working on you?
Yeah, no, she
No,
thinks
not
out of
at
the
all.
box. She'll figure
Never.
out what's wrong with it.
If somebody was telling me that like if I have sex with a demon, I'm gonna have like some sort of ovary, or I don't have ovaries.
Yeah,
but
nobody's gonna tell
I'm
me
gonna
I
have
can't have sex with a
testicular
demon.
cancer because I fucked
If
a
I
demon.
want to have sex with a demon, I'm gonna have sex.
I'm
with
gonna
a
clap
demon.
them cheeks.
Right.
I'm gonna clap
Okay.
them
I mean,
hot cheeks.
hey, and
bro.
that's equally as dude. Brandon, is it on speaker right now? Is it like coming through the speakers? Oh,
He looks frantic.
God.
He looks
Sorry, bro.
frantic.
Sorry.
Or
But no, that's a weird stance
right.
to take.
Yes, it's very
I
weird.
don't know how I feel about it.
But,
That's a weird stance.
let me say this, Tanner. My point is people that are anti-Semitic and or people that have beliefs that are a certain way, which she is both. I just don't feel like they're in it for the wrong reasons, and I feel like she shouldn't be able to be a part of the healthcare system. Like I think that's just wacky.
So
Hold on, Brandon. What are you saying? I can barely hear you.
About trades in general and school in general, we're getting back to, I guess you can call it conspiracy theory, but I feel like schools that are run by the government are trying to make cogs in a wheel, right? So they're not developing your imagination, your leadership abilities, your abilities to be your own person. And because of that, it's a lot easier to send you straight on the path that they want you to take, which is get into debt with, where you're basically enslaved your entire life.
Right.
Personal opinion,
It's a
you
mind
might not agree, but what I know personally is there are a bazillion jobs that I don't want to do, and I would much rather pay somebody else to do. And plumbing's one of them.
Yeah.
And
Same.
most plumbers I know are 50 plus, 60 plus years old with nobody training under them because nobody wants to be a plumber.
Right.
They're also making $90,000 a year working whenever they want.
Right.
Like I believe your school systems have failed people, not only in not knowing about money, but not knowing how to make money. Because again, your electricians, like you all were talking about, your plumbers, your operators, your heavy machinery drivers, like this country needs. My dog just fell off the couch.
Roasted.
This country needs everybody. You can't have 15 CEOs of tech companies if you don't have somebody shoveling coal to make electricity.
Right.
Like you need all of it together.
All of it. Every bit of it.
Including truck drivers, including, your garbage people. Like I don't want my garbage piling up out back.
Right.
I would much rather pay somebody every month to come get it, every week to come get it.
And generally, I feel like we would all agree that we could pay them a premium price, because that's just a necessity. That's a thing that has to happen.
Right.
Like without it, it's we'd be just living in
Here's
garbage.
another thing to think about on the top of it. Another thing to think about is we've seen communication change within the last 100 years. Communication has changed abundantly. Transportation has changed abundantly. A lot of things have changed abundantly. You know what hasn't changed is
What?
the way that we teach our children.
True.
It's still 1850s. We're sitting in a classroom. You're going to listen to what I have to say, and that's what you learn. We need to change the dynamic of the way our children are taught. You know what I'm saying? Like we've changed.
And I think you'll agree with this. That's happening. I mean, like, I'm saying tech, like, applying our tech to our classrooms, because tech, what is tech? It's an innovation of receiving information and dispersing information. And I feel like that's coming in decently. Fuck, even from the 10 years I've been out of school, you go into some classrooms now and everybody's got a laptop. What the hell is that? That's insane.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm not
college
saying that it's
rule,
happening,
yeah.
and you're wrong in saying what you're saying. You're definitely right. It definitely needs to happen.
It's just saying it's taken a longer time for
Yeah.
that to happen than
And-
anything else. You know, with everything else, it happens instant. You know,
True.
like you're just like boom, boom,
I'm not
boom.
I'm
this
not
is happening
I'm not
right
so
here, right
sure.
here.
I'm not so sure. I'm okay with how slow it's going, because I don't think it's going that slow. Plus, I'm kind of weird about people thinking that they know what's best to put in front of my kid to teach him things.
Right.
Now
I get
that's
that.
that's already happened, and I'm talking out of my ass because I haven't really fully thought this out. But
Right.
I don't know.
So, my opinion on this is look at the two sectors that we're talking about. We have the private sector that is the tech companies, and they're progressing at a much faster rate than the public sector with the public schools.
Right.
And
Right.
the thing that separates those two is choice. Their tech companies have an incentive to innovate as quickly as possible because they want your money.
Right.
Public schools have no incentive to innovate at all because you are forced. They take your money by force.
If their test scores don't result what you need them to, you're going to lose money regardless of how hard you tried.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think a shift that needs to change, and like I said, I'm too young to actually know if this is a good idea or not. This is just what I think.
It's so funny,
Is-
Tanner. Like Tanner told me the other day he watched this video and he is embodying this guy like completely. It's so funny. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Tanner. Sorry.
But we need to move towards, instead of the government just having public schools that they pay for and we are forced to attend, is we have private schools, but the government gives each person a school voucher, and they get to decide which private school that they would like to spend their school voucher at. And that gives incentives to schools to have the best teachers possible, teaching the best curriculum possible, so that they can get your school voucher.
Right. They fight for the vouchers, basically.
Exactly. Like
Just
capital-
like
work.
our aerospace. I don't know what a sector does in the U.S. They fight.
and just being
NASA and SpaceX are fucking fighting for government funding so that they can put rockets in the air.
And SpaceX in the last however many years
grown.
Look what the private sector has done.
Oh my God.
that the public sector hasn't been able to do in the
exponentially.
Yeah.
Dude, SpaceX has taken a decade to
Capitalism
do what it
works.
seems like
And we
NASA's
need
taken
to
3
let it
decades to do. That's insane.
Yes. And I think that a lot of stuff could change if we start taking things away from the government and putting it back in the private sector. Because when you get it, they will lead in a lot of what has turned people sour on capitalism is the lack of trying to actually take down monopolies. So people say, hey, we don't have, or like with internet or insurance maybe, there's a lot of laws dictating which insurance companies can operate where. And the government basically, by law, instituting monopolies by region, by dictating who is allowed to do business here and there. And if we get rid of all those restrictions and anyone can open up whatever business they want, people that do good business and provide value are the people or the businesses that people are going to choose and give their money to.
Right.
And we're going to get better things. Whatever sector you want to choose, you're going to get better things out of it. If you let people and their wallets decide where funding and resources go.
I don't have a lot of public trust, so like Tanner has brought this to me before, and I don't have a lot of public trust, so I'm just like, God, that sounds like a great recipe for disaster. But I'm starting to slowly maneuver over to where I don't feel like people will make the right choices. That's definitely not why I'm okay with it. The reason why I'm okay with it is because someone will make the right choice, and other people will follow that, and that's what I have to rely on.
And here's the thing: is that
Victor,
people are making choices no matter which opinion you have about whether things should be public or private.
Right.
There's a public sector person that is in charge of that government agency or whatever that is making the same decisions that you don't trust the private sector to make. And they have no more incentive than the public sector or the private sector to do right by you.
Right.
In fact, they have less, in my opinion.
Right, yes. Just,
due to the fact that they don't have to earn
they got the security. They know that they know that the top of the company will never go down, so they're just like, well, fuck it. Here's minimum wage.
There's no incentive to be efficient because
Right.
in their eyes, they have unlimited resources because they just take yours.
True.
And every year they want to take more.
True.
And if they had to provide real value for the resources that they were spending, you would get a much better product in the end.
I agree.
Because it has to make sense to invest resources into this thing to get a significant outcome out of it.
I agree.
So I think a lot of these
Right.
issues we have is taking things away from the government and giving it back to the private sector and letting people and their money, and very smart people who want to make money, make the best decisions and do good.
Right.
That's how we got to the point we're at. And I think that's a lot of the downfall is you have a lot of young people that see these companies, the Jeff Bezoses of the world, and they see a number of their net worth, and they're like, "That's ridiculous. I make $50,000 a year, and he made $10 billion this week. That's not fair to me. So I'm against capitalism." And they don't realize that they're tweeting
he's
that
right.
from their
Yeah.
iPhone on
Facts.
their
Yeah.
free Wi-Fi, that like all this shit that they have no idea came from the system that they want to take down so badly.
Right.
Is the whole reason that any of this
Like
exists. For
people
them
are
to
out.
even
People are out here tweeting about how they hate capitalism on their iPhone 11. It's funny.
And it's
Yeah.
like this is the whole reason you have any of this to argue with is because of the
Because
system.
of
that
what
is.
you're saying you hate and want to dismantle and destroy. Lol.
Yes, and it all started when the government started putting regulations on things.
It's a fact. Yeah, that's a fact, dude. Like he's absolutely right. Yeah, that's a fact.
Banking regulations, like the FDIC, a lot of people think, wow, that's like really good that the government backs all the money in the bank account, right?
Right.
Honestly, it's kind of bad because the way banks make money is loaning your money out and getting a return on it.
Right.
So if the government knows that the bank knows all the money they have in their coffers are insured by the federal government, what incentive do they have to make smart economical decisions with your money?
True.
They don't. They can.
So it comes down to, do we need these people to lead us? These people that we put in power
less
and
government.
like decide what's going to happen with our money and stuff like that. Are they responsible enough to do that? Like, are they the people that we need to actually empower to do that?
Right.
At some point, we have to realize that the government was funded and created for our benefit.
They'll tell you that the money that they're using from your pocket
They can
is
say
going
what they
toward the
want.
thing that you want.
Yeah.
But
Words are
whether or
cheap,
not
dog.
that's a fact is a whole nother conversation. Because
You have to, as an American citizen, you have to realize, like, am I making the right decision? Am I letting these people lead me?
or they're just
correctly?
cleaning up the whole house,
Or are
while
they
we're
just
having a
doing what they
podcast.
need to do to line their pockets and make a?
And that's the thing with Tyler talking about how he doesn't trust the public to make the right decision. And I think that, to me, is a bigger reason to move towards the private sector and away from the public sector.
But will that hurt us in the long run?
No, you know what? That's actually a good point. Didn't really think about that.
I think this is the thing that we need to do that is going to pay off. It's going to like suck right now, but it's going to pay off in the long run.
Right.
Like
it's one of those things that we should look look for to solve things in the future and just be temporarily kind of shitty. Yeah. Okay. So listen. I'm gonna explain this the way that I'm understanding it now to Posh, to the question that he asked. I don't have a lot of public trust. I feel like a lot of people are just idiots. I feel like a lot of people are opportunists, more so on the level, on surface level than they like to admit. I feel like a lot of people are just out for themselves and they only think within their bubble. I think this is a majority of people. I think that you're way more inclined to find someone like that than you are someone that isn't like that out in public if you pick someone randomly.
Absolutely.
That being said, if we were to drop regulations on everything, make things a lot more private sector enabled for them to have a competitive, for people to have a competitive reason to try to get my money and gain value from me or like get my money from me, period. I feel like it's a lot better for me to trust myself to know who to give my money to than for it to be than for the government to make it easier for people that I may not inherently trust to give me the opportunity to be able to use them. So it's like I'll be making my own choices instead of the government doing it for me, and I'll pick the one that the person's going to be like a resourceful person, or I'll just go somewhere else and they'll end up going out of business eventually, and they won't have they won't have a government backing that they can look to. That they can be like, oh, my business is failing. It's because of the economy. No, it's because you're a piece of fucking shit. But they can go get help from the government because they're shitty. That's garbage.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
with
right.
that.
I agree with that completely. Yeah, 100%. I agree. Okay, so you basically answered my question right there.
Right.
Yeah.
That summed everything up for me.
Yeah, because the only way that a company can get money from you is you have to decide to give it to them.
Mm-hmm.
They have to provide that value.
Right.
The government just takes your money and does stuff with it.
Right.
So you have no choice in any of that. So they have no value because they don't have to earn your money.
Mm-hmm.
Just
You know what my
They get it
idea
regardless.
of a person,
You make money, they get some of it. Just period.
perfect democracy is to vote on everything. Like, there's not a subject that we.
I think
cannot
that should
vote
be a
on.
thing.
I feel like if
Now
you
look,
want to go
though.
to war, like
On
if
every
you
aspect,
decide that you
vote.
want to go to war, like
let Brandon say what he's gonna say. Y'all set a topic, and Brandon timed out. So go.
So
Okay.
my first thought on
Hey Brandon, I can't hear you. I don't know if something's butting up.
sounds like you're
Yeah,
underwater,
something's
You
up against your mic.
you
or
sound
something.
deaf.
Yeah,
hello,
you sound
hello,
like you're
hello?
underwater.
Try.
Okay.
Okay, I can hear you a little better.
Yeah.
My
way better.
main problem with voting for everything is I personally, kind of like Tyler, don't have a lot of faith in people. And I feel like there's a lot of uneducated about certain topic idiots that should not be able to vote. And this especially goes into guns. People that don't know what a gun is or how it works or how you can get one should not vote on how I should get a gun. Go.
Now, do you feel like that's the overall American populace, or do you think that's the local populace that you don't have the faith in?
Say that again.
Yeah, where does
Do you
With me-
think
with
that
me,
that's
it's
the
everybody.
overall
It's
American
everybody.
populace, or do you think that that's just the local populace?
I feel safer
think that's
here.
where
I feel,
you're from?
I feel like people here are a little bit more like not in their own bubble than people like in a city. I mean, that's just me kind of talking out my ass. Maybe Tanner
And
can like.
personally,
so this
I've
is-
lived.
Hey, let
personally,
Tanner
I've
speak
lived
on.
in
He's
Los
the.
Angeles and San Diego.
Oh well,
and,
yeah. Posh has
I'm
lived
tell-
in
I'm-
fucking L.A.
I've lived in LA and San Diego, and I'm telling you right now, a lot of people just believe what they're told, and like that's a
And
fact. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but these people that are in large populous areas don't know what else to believe other than what they're told. So
Right.
like when they're when someone tells them that hey, guns are bad and this is gonna fucking make a bad impact on the economy, they believe it.
And the scary part about that is the places where that is the most common places where there's the most populace of individuals, like where more
Huge
people actually
populace.
are. They
Most people
they don't
form to
develop their
coast.
own interpretation of things. They develop their opinion based off of what they're told.
They're not sitting here thinking for themselves. They're thinking as like, okay, well, am I going to offend more people by saying this or offend less people by saying this? You know what I'm saying? So like, that's where they come
Will
from.
people like me or not? It's not even. It is the offending
exactly.
thing, but it definitely is like, will the people like me or not? Tanner, go ahead. What you were going to
So So I may be an asshole in saying this. Let me know. So how many? This is just how I think about this. How many people in the United States do you know? What percentage of the population do you think that you know, and could judge?
0.2.
0.2%.
Okay, hold on.
I would say I know.
He asked,
400
but
people.
you just asked another thing. You said, how many people do you know, and what?
Or no. So how many people do you know well enough? Is how I should have said it, to judge. For you to feel comfortable in giving them the right to vote, per se. That
Yeah,
I trust
0.5.
make good.
If we're doing that, 0.5. Yeah, 0.5.
Okay. So
Yeah, but that's
That's still like 16 million
I don't
people.
know. That's a weird question to ask.
so the point of that question was
Per
just-
topic?
or it was kind of a rhetorical question. It was stupid.
Is
But-
that based off
Hold on,
of
hold
the
on,
people that
hold
we're
on.
going to give the allowance to vote?
Hey, let him get this thought out.
So
Sorry,
go
going
ahead,
back to the
Tanner.
Go ahead.
where people are just listening to what they're told and regurgitating it. There's no inner analysis going on, and they're just
Right.
regurgitating it.
Right.
Hate those people.
I think-
hate them.
Yes, that's the problem with America. They're one of the big problems. There's a shit ton. But we perceive the world through the lens of the media, what we get told.
Exactly. 100%.
Just like with the Black
I
Lives
agree.
Matter movement,
Yep.
is we perceive the people in America through the people that are put on the news. That's how we judge everything. Because if
Absolutely.
we don't, everybody.
That's hey,
You
look.
can't.
That's not where I've made that conclusion from. It's really not. I've made that conclusion from like some of the places that I've worked. I've worked in healthcare. People will throw you under the bus immediately. I helped. I don't want to speak on this like too. It's not like a HIPAA law thing. Jesus Christ, it's been 10 years or like 5 years. I helped someone out tremendously. They had no independence. They had nothing. I helped them lose about 60 pounds over the course of a year through fitness and watching your weight or watching your diet. Healthy things. We implemented some healthy things. Helped them out. Got him. When I started working with him, he wouldn't do anything. He wouldn't get out of the vehicle like if we went somewhere. By the time I was done, I'd give him a list and he'd go in a Dollar General, come out with everything on it. It was awesome. Somebody started noticing that I was seeing that they were taking advantage of his medication. They threw my ass under the bus like that. Now that's anecdotal and it's one, but that happens all day, every single day. And I was the person.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was the person that changed their son's life. I don't care what anyone says, I did. And they shat right on my face. Now, everyone and their mom's not like this, but that's just one of the. I've seen parents just give middle fingers to their kids and just throw them in the trash.
It's an example. Yeah, I get where you come from.
Society
Yeah,
has
I
done this
understand
to
that.
me, and the media doesn't help at all. Trust me. I'll get upset
No,
sometimes
never.
when I see more shit. I'm like, God, just another thing where I know that everybody's shit.
Media pushes the narrative.
Right.
What they're
100%.
trying to get
But
across.
but seriously, I've had this
they're gonna
reservation.
push.
I've had that public view. I've had that part of my worldview has existed for like 5 years.
Yes.
Past what I would say that I pay attention to the media.
Now is that a racial narrative kind of thing that went on? Was it a black person?
No.
No, it was a white person.
What's I got to? What do you mean by that?
Wow. So.
But I'm saying what I'm saying.
Where
What I'm
did that
saying
come
is-
He's got a point.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
assuming.
coming off of
What now? What I'm saying is, if it was
Come
a
on.
black person that you had done that with, your kind of resistance to their parents trying to do their narrative of based opposite of what you're trying to do, which is like help their child throughout the thing. If you made the argument against what they were trying to do against their child if they were black, then you were a white person against their white kid, and it would have been a racial thing.
Right.
But where it was a white kid,
I'll say
I'm assuming
this.
it was a white kid.
I see what you're saying and saying that people in society also will just assume you're racist out of nowhere. I mean, it was basically just a big prejudice that they thought I was doing one thing, but it was really out of the motive that I was catching on to some other shit, and I scooped.
Right.
I scooped that ass. And
You got a little-
what happened was I walked in. I didn't even smoke.
He got a little too big for his britches.
I didn't even. Yeah, I guess so. I didn't
Yeah,
even
he got a
smoke
little
weed
big.
at the time or anything like that. But they started catching on. I asked about it. I was told to come in from my boss. He told me I was gonna have to take a drug test because they told my workplace that I was trying to smoke weed and get the kid drunk. That's what they
Hey,
told
man.
him. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if you ever want to smoke weed, you just hit me up.
Yeah, I won't try giving it
I
to
got
anybody
you.
that's
Just-
less
yeah.
fortunate.
We can do it. Like, here's my opinion on marijuana and the way that things.
So
are
that's the
going right
thing.
now.
Like, if something like that
Are
happens,
we
and you're
united
starting,
or are we not
you're
united?
starting to make like a difference in someone's life.
As a country, are we united or are we not
You're
united?
fucking up my
I can
whole
see,
fucking-
I can get
my
over
whole
here and I can
program,
see one of my
Josh.
homies getting online, smoking a joint, and fucking doing his thing, and it's all legal. I do that shit, bruh. State troopers at my door. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's not united. That's not okay. Why is weed illegal?
That's a good topic.
Why
That's a
is
good
weed
topic.
illegal?
Hey, in all
That's a good topic.
seriousness, I'm not just saying this because I am going to wrap this up in the next 5 minutes. But two, y'all should do that on Chilada Boys. That'd be really good.
happened.
Just the history
why
of
is
Well,
weed-
the
We've
history.
already planned that. We've
Oh.
already planned
It's
that.
already happened. Yeah,
Okay.
we've already got that
Just
episode
a
set.
whole history
stone.
of marijuana and
But
why.
Why?
Well,
Why?
the
It's a plant,
plan
dude.
the plan was for 420.
Are you really free
Oh,
if
God.
you can't fucking smoke a plant in this fucking country? Are you really
So,
free? Do you feel like you're free?
How drunk
No.
are you guys?
Draw the line.
How
on
drunk
what
are you
If
guys?
on a scale of 1 to 10,
I'm not drunk.
7. Not
Are you? Really?
really. No, I'm like maybe 5.
No, I'm probably about a 3.
I'm
Honestly?
gonna say 5.
I'm
For
good
me,
right now.
5.
I know you're a 0.
I gotta
because you
get
have
drunk
a
with y'all next
brain-
time, I guess. Jesus.
But here's
Yeah.
the thing, man. Why can't you smoke weed?
Don't know.
What's the
Garbage.
reason behind it?
Can't
I'll
can't
tell
make
you-
money off of it.
Huge
So-
pharmaceutical.
Yeah, that's what
you
it
can
is. It's a
grow
lot
this
of
medicine in your
pharmaceutical stuff,
backyard. That's why you can't get rich off of it
Right.
because you yourself could grow this fucking plant in your backyard.
I feel like
and have no
I
problem.
feel like the government didn't tax it, and now they just haven't for so long and said it's bad. So now they can't just tax it because they said it's
no
bad
way
for
to
so long.
tax it. Yeah,
For
the
that
American
episode,
populace
hey,
knows that you
For
can't
that
tax it.
episode, Tyler, you have to be.
Dude, I'm
you have to be
buying
there for it.
I'm buying a mic within the next like 2 weeks. All right, so I'm gonna buy myself another mic, and we're gonna have guest speakers, and I
Okay.
want you on there.
All right.
You're the first guest speaker.
And yeah, we're gonna talk about that shit.
Hey, it honestly looks like too that y'all could at least, if you wanted to have somebody on through Discord, you could do it from Kosh's house.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right, listen.
yeah.
I am gonna cut this short. I'm gonna cut it off.
Cut short? I thought
Yes.
you said 3 hours. Where are we at now?
We're at like
We're
4
at
hours.
4.
right
We're at 4
now.
now.
We're cutting it short.
Yeah, we're
We
just
didn't cut
we're
it
just gonna
short.
cut
We
the
cut it-
conversation short.
Y'all smoke weed, fuck bitches, what do you think?
And that's Chilada Boy stuff.
That's a
That's
Chilada
Chilada
boy
Boy
fucking
stuff.
state.
Yeah.
Genghis
Alright.
Kong it. You know what I'm saying? Smoke weed and fuck bitches.
So y'all
Fat cheeks,
y'all say
boys.
bye. I'm gonna make y'all leave, and then I'm gonna like outro.
Peace
All
out,
right,
guys.
Hey,
Listen,
guys,
seriously,
on,
To
man.
you three,
Really?
especially those of you, and Brandon, I'm not saying anything about you, but especially those of you that have been here the whole 4 hours. Thanks for coming, and thanks for just shooting the
Man.
shit. This is all.
Had a great time.
I'm glad it wasn't like weird or like hard.
It wasn't
It
at
wasn't
all.
really
Had
hard
a
to
great
do.
time, yeah.
It wasn't
I
hard
had
to do.
fun,
at all.
dude. Like,
It sucked miserably.
Next
What are you
time-
talking about?
let us know.
It's such miserably.
Hey, seriously, that like,
Yeah.
I think
Nah.
I think what we're gonna do is we're probably gonna do one of these a month. That's what I would like to do.
Sounds feasible.
I'd like to be on it.
Yeah,
I
I'm down.
would. I would really like to be on it.
Y'all,
It's
y'all,
been a
y'all
good
are
time.
y'all are welcome whenever. Anybody that's been on here today is welcome whenever. I've actually got like a setup ready for 6 guests. So we were ready for everybody, and hopefully maybe next time we can get more people. We had like a couple that kind of flaked out, but hopefully they should be
That's
able to
all
do it
good,
next
man.
time.
You can't expect everybody to show up, but hey, we appreciate you guys. And,
Thanks for
we're-
having us, man.
We're always listening.
We're always
and
open to
We
be
appreciate
on.
you guys, man.
Yeah.
I hope
Just
y'all.
let us know when, man.
Yeah.
We're always here for you.
We're
Bro.
there.
All right.
Yeah, just
Stay
let us know.
safe, everyone.
Yeah.
Tanner.
Tanner, thanks, man.
You
have
guys.
Good to meet you.
Peace out, fellas.
Brandon, it was good to meet you.
Nice
brother.
talking to you all.
Yeah, it was good to meet you
Yeah, yeah.
guys.
Great topics.
Can't wait to talk about it again. Next time we go, let's do it. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tyler.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Later,
No
man.
problem. We'll see y'all. Everybody just like disconnect, I guess, from Discord and we'll.
All right. See you.
Peace.
Good time.
All right, so thanks for watching, everybody. If you've been here for the whole 4 hours, I really appreciate that. A new thing we were wanting to try, just to kind of, I don't know, make things a little different, mix things up a little bit, get a lot more people talking, make it visually seem like you can actually dig in if you wanted to, even with us. If you're at home or something and you have watched or listened, and you think it's something that you'd be interested in, we'd love to have you just come on and just talk. We don't even. That was the idea that I wanted, that Alex and I kind of dreamed up for the panel podcast, and it completely just happened today. It was pretty cool to see it kind of pan out. We didn't even touch there was a ton of things we didn't even touch that me and Alex kind of came together and figured out that we would want to talk about. So there's definitely the availability for topics in the future for sure. So I'm sure the Chelada Boys will probably be on next time, hopefully. And if you haven't, go check them out. You can just search the Chelada Boys. You can actually just search the Chelada Boys on Google and find their stuff pretty reasonably quick. But they're on Spotify, Facebook. You can find their page that you can follow all of their stuff on Facebook. Just like us, we use the same hosting provider. But yeah, appreciate it. All you saw today was just people sitting here fighting ignorance. And that's what we're all about, man. You just got to fight the good fight, have conversations with people, and just lay everything out on the table. I don't know, if you're talking about things and you're trying to pick somebody's brain, just do it and do it well. And I don't know, talk to each other well and fight the good fight. Appreciate you guys watching today. It was an awesome weekend special, first panel podcast. Thanks so much, and we'll see you guys. Peace out.